if it's in 1906 or earlier, Buds knows.
Was this before electricity or after that?
You are listening to the Bomb Hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The Bomb Hole.
That bitch is crazy.
Okay, another week, another bomb hole. We're back in the booth. I just want to give a quick shout out to Matty Moe, who made that intro. He is the man.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Thank you, Matty. Stony Buds, how we doing today, man?
Dude, I'm doing good. Just got a little beard trim. Feeling
You look like 10 years younger.
yeah, feeling good for summer.
You almost look like you're...
I don't look as much like a homeless man. You know what I mean?
Just slightly, yeah.
Maybe the cops won't pull you over as much.
Nah, they got me marked.
They got you marked.
Yeah, they got
Well,
got like radio people outside and little ham radios
Yeah,
listening to me and stuff. Pointing that big radar at the house.
They got a sniper tower just kind of
Exactly,
like on
dude.
your house. So who do we got in the booth today, Buds?
Dude, I'm excited, man. Are we gonna call you Stan or Justin? We never really discussed that.
Stan.
Stan.
We got Stan.
Yeah,
Stan.
we can get into that too, but why that name thing happened. But yeah, Stan is what I
Stan.
go by.
Awesome.
Real name
Stoked
Justin.
Real name is Justin, yeah.
A lot of people probably don't even know that.
I think a lot of people, I'll tell you
People
what.
that don't know you.
Right. The people I grew up with certainly know because
Yeah.
they're like, what's up with the Stan thing? Which is funny because I really just made it before I thought that this was going to turn into my full-time job. And I was like, well, I better get a pen name for when I need to find a real job. And
Sure.
so like,
That's kind of a pro tip.
That is a pro tip.
yeah, but turns out I just turned this into my,
It's a lot like a rapper.
Yes.
It's kind of the same thing.
and it gives you a vibe. It allows you to get an energy as well.
So you grew up, you're originally from the Commonwealth, correct?
100% Western Mass.
Which town specifically?
I'm from Great Barrington.
You know, there's another living legend from that town.
I am aware.
He invented the hot garbage.
Yep.
Do you know who we're talking about?
Yeah.
Mr. Max Weinberger.
Oh, I
give him
didn't
a little-
know who you were talking about.
Max. Shouts to Max Weinberg, actually, straight up though. Like,
Yeah, props.
seriously, because those kids, when I was a kid, seriously, it was them. They were like, we saw them in grenade movies, and it was like, no way, that dude's in Great Barrington. And the same actually was for the like Scott and you as well. Like, you guys were the other. It was the Gremlins and you guys for me as a kid. Like, you guys were the closest thing because you've been to Butternut. You have Scott has a clip at Butternut in at least one movie. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We used to hit that kink rail in the front.
King Crail Butternut.
Yeah,
Max Tokunaga took it down in the Sculf movie, and he gets right into the van after. We took it to him. Took him to it.
Classic kink. And we were talking before the show. You kind of grew up making movies with your friends. You were talking about one video called Surge. A lot of people don't know your career on the board, mainly just off the board.
Yeah. I would only talk about this if I was positive that it hopefully won't be found, but Surge was our first snowboard video project that we made with my friends. I was like, it's funny, the shop that I rode for first was a shop called Get Up, and it was an all-girls shop, which is like,
You rode for the all-girls shop?
yeah. But like several other guys as well. But Angelica, shouts to Angelica, was the owner, and she like was just harboring the culture for us. And so we all got together, and we're watching snowboard movies like crazy and so into the culture and wanting to mimic that super hard. So we made a movie called Surge. And yeah, we did the whole thing, like backdrop at my homie's house, and we're like in our snow gear, like shooting the cover of the DVD. And like my intro, this is what's scary. Is like my intro, I have like Bozung tats drawn on my face and like a Scotty Whitlake like cross down here, and I'm just freestyling. And then it's the worst snowboarding you've like ever seen, like bad, like
awesome.
bad snowboarding.
Well, we talk about this a lot. A lot of people think it's about their tricks, but they forget about the showmanship. You know,
That's
sometimes
the truth.
if you can keep the people entertained, the tricks don't always matter that much.
That is my life motto. I
Straight up.
would say that. Yeah. I mean, I always say that like Ricky Hauer, regular guy in Air Blaster, was the first guy that made me realize like, yo, I can actually like be involved in snowboarding and not be a pro snowboarder.
Yeah,
So
that's major inspiration for these kids. I think a lot of people, they're like, well, I'm not going to be a pro. Maybe I don't want to be a rep or like a sales manager, but they're like, you kind of forged another avenue, which is cool.
yeah. And I didn't know that was going to happen really. Like, I think when I I ended up going to school, like leaving Western Mass. I went to UVM in Burlington. And like when I was there, my thought was, I guess I'll just get like a marketing job when I got out of school. Like that's what I love snowboarding. I moved to Vermont because I wanted to be snowboarding. But I was like, I'll just get a marketing job. And then I just realized pretty much like sophomore year was the economic crisis. And I was like, I'm never getting a job. But yeah, I just thought I would go like marketing route. I stopped making movies. That's the other thing about like movies. Like I was making so many movies like as a kid that were not like snowboard movies as well, just like insane skit movies, and like getting in so much trouble like with one Spanish teacher because we did this like Mayan sacrifice scene and we were like ripping a heart out of my friend, and like the teacher was just like, what is this? Like this is insane. Like, so we were always making crazy videos, but then I kind of just thought, oh, I'll do marketing, and I don't know, I just like stopped for all of college.
You were saying earlier that you would like make these videos, and I know for the snowboard ones you'd like premiere them at your high school and shit.
We didn't show the snowboard movie at my high school. We made a documentary about what talent was for the talent show.
Okay.
And my friend had a space, and it was crazy rogue shit. Like I was like rolling up to the drive-thru at McDonald's, like doing crazy shit. I'm like hanging from rafters shirtless and like talking crazy, and we're like playing it to our school and like their parents, and it like I can't believe I did. It's gnarly. It was like probably actually it was sick. I mean, I never thought anything of it, but
that's kind of where you sharpened your teeth as an entertainer.
Yeah, it's kind of like you were just starting something you were always meant to do, and that's cool.
Yeah, well, it's just so interesting. I guess like what I think about is like the college thing. Like, I think college was great for me in terms of the people that I met, and I think the education was whatever. I just took a weird route from actually stopping doing anything I would later do in life in college.
Yeah.
Like I was making videos my whole life, but then like never thought, oh, I should study this in college. Like I was like studying marketing because I thought like that's how you get the job and the money and like the thing. And
You were trying to get serious, but you were kind of going away from what you'd actually
Totally.
move towards, which is ironic.
totally just being a total goofball.
I think
Yeah.
it takes people a minute to figure out what their strong suits are. That's a important thing to know, is like play to your strong suits. Figure out what the hell your goddamn strong suits are and just do that shit, because you don't need the marketing degree per se.
Totally. And I think a lot of it is like not being embarrassed to fucking just show what your strong suits are. Cause I remember like growing up being like a soccer player, snowboarder, whatever, like sometimes when I was being super hammy, like I felt like people were like, this kid, you know, like, but you know, you have to, you just are like, that's what I was good at, and making people laugh and doing that. So
The showmanship.
How did that evolve into you getting your start over at YoBeat?
So I left UVM with like not a real plan. Like, I mean, basically if you're living in Burlington and you're graduating college, there's like 4 companies that you would want to work for. It's like Burton, Ben and Jerry's, Seventh Generation.
I was
Is it?
wondering if
Anon,
when you were-
maybe? Anon?
Well, Anon's like, yeah, like
I was wondering when you're in college, were you always thinking like maybe I should work at Burton because Burlington's such a town that's all about Burton? And
totally.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get a foot in the door.
you couldn't
No,
when you lived there.
no, I was nobody.
You should have been making those videos back then.
But it's been an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Like being a nobody. That's a pun for Burton.
No, yeah, it is.
But like being a nobody, and you know, when I think I first experienced this was when I was like 17 and I went to High Cascade. And I think a lot of people's stories about High Cascade is like, it was incredible and it was the best experience of my life and it changed my life and all this. And I think that was the case for me. But as someone who was just a straight up nobody there, like you see who the favorites are. And like, there's kids that like are already in the system at the age I was, 17, who are so ingrained. And it starts to feel like, well, how could I ever
Get to where they're at.
Get to where they're at.
Yeah.
Like these kids are 15
They've
and
been
they're
going to
already the
camp since they
star
were
of
12.
camp, you know,
Yeah.
like, but like, that's where I would first like see Preston, and Preston like blew my mind as an individual. I was just like, this guy's well-spoken. And he was just like, I don't know why. I just like immediately was like, Preston is the sickest. When I was 17, I didn't know anything, but went to college. Then I left. I moved to Portland, like pretty much sight unseen, more or less because robot food movies made Oregon look incredible.
That's why you moved there.
Sight unseen.
Sick.
Yeah, moved there, no job, no place to live, nothing, and like figured it out pretty quick. Got a job at a restaurant, Double Dragon. Shouts to Double Dragon, got me on my feet. And I just sent an email to Brooke because I knew, like, I looked at YoBeat in college and it was like making fun of snowboarding. And I loved snowboarding so much. And I also loved making jokes. So I was like, dude, this is like me. And I went to school with Brooke's sister, Jenna. So I was like, I know your sister, and wrote an email. I guess Brooke asked her sister. Her sister said, I know him. He's not an idiot, and he's good at rapping. Was her exact.
Pretty
Pretty good qualifications for the job. Yeah, absolutely.
So I came in to meet them, and you know what's so funny? I'll never forget this. They were like, Brooke asked me what my goal in the snowboard industry was. And I just kind of like haphazardly, I was like, I don't know, maybe one day get like a secure job at Snowboarder Mag or something.
You said that?
Yeah. Sitting with Brooke. And she kind of like tore me apart for saying it, I think, at the time. She was like, bad thing to say in a YoBeat interview, kind of.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so then she made me rap on camera.
As part of your job
As part
interview.
of my job interview.
How'd
I mean,
you
Brooke
do?
would put me through a lot of crazy things throughout my time there, but I smoked it. I did
Smoked it.
sick. Yeah. And then we posted, and so then I was the intern. And basically I was just, an intern. And then I came up with this comic series called Toe-Side Terrors, which it was like, I was basically just like looking at Marvel characters and like applying like names to them and shit. And Shaun White was basically the villain of the whole thing. Like, and his name was rearranged. But yeah, then I started making videos and like that were product reviews of these characters. And she offered me like a job after a couple months of doing that.
Like a straight intern, you're not getting paid, so you're working at the restaurant and going in there trying to impress everybody.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was just that I would follow through. I would get shit done. You know, like, and I did not wait for them to tell me what to do.
Oh, nice. You just jumped on it and got shit done.
Also, YoBeat's like coming from a kid that is relatively unknown. YoBeat is kind of like an attainable goal.
Yes.
Like it's attainable.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, they need help, you know, like, and they needed help.
Especially
and like,
someone can just jump and do something, make something happen.
well, they didn't, I don't think that they knew that that's
Yeah.
what the skill set that they had on their hands
At the
was or
time.
whatever. Because Nick Lipton had just left. I don't know. Like, do you guys like?
Yeah. I
so-
remember Nick Lipton.
I remember.
So that was like immediately like big shoes to fill, kind of, because he was super like Stepchild was putting out ads in magazines against him. Do you
really?
remember that?
Particularly,
I don't
Nick,
remember that.
I don't. remember.
There was one ad that was like a JP ad or something, like anti Nick Lipton ad
my God.
in print, like, and it was crazy.
That's
so like,
funny.
there was like a lot, and I knew him, and he just wasn't me. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
I understood his skill set and I appreciated it, but I always kind of felt this like, oh, you're the new Nick Lipton, and I
Oh,
was like,
shit.
not at all, you know. And that was another thing I always fought against, like continually with the relationship with YoBeat is trying to like outlive YoBeat's reputation, basically, or be bigger than it.
Yeah.
Or something. But yeah, YoBeat was attainable. Snowboarder Mag at that time, completely like unattainable. I didn't know anyone there. Although my homie Poulin would get a job at Transworld at that time.
Interning and kind of work his way up the
He
same
was the
way.
associate editor.
Yeah.
For a while. Poulin's a homie. So he was like, I guess, made me think it was possible.
That's cool.
And I was always like nerding out on Bird's and like kind of Bridges' words at the time too, like because I liked writing and stuff. So I always thought Bird was like had a cool vibe in the way that he wrote and stuff. So, but I don't know. When I said that Snowboarder Mag comment, it was to Brooke in the first place. It was such an underdeveloped thought, and like the fact that would later happen was like
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
really weird.
You were in YoBeat territory. Where did you come up with the hate line to jump forward?
Yeah. So, I mean, I saw Skate Line and thought, oh my God, like this is incredible. Loved it. Like, and just started watching it. And then at the time, we were working on a project called the Shred Town Showdown, which was like a March Madness bracket where we let the voters vote on the best
I remember
ski
that.
town. And so my idea at the time was I'll make one video that is like Skate Line that addresses this one project that we're doing. And then actually Hondo was in the building randomly visiting, and we sat down and I kind of started to go through the script in that light and just realized like, nah, like let's just talk about snowboarding. Like let's just ramble. So the first one, I think the first ones, they're all on YouTube. So The first 8 lines are easily the funniest ones.
Really?
Oh my God. They're like so choppy and like poorly edited and just like weird and random. But yeah, so I made like that, and then I made like 4 more maybe, and I was like so positively like self-conscious that I was just biting skate line that I was like, I'm gonna stop. But the last one that I was making, I was filming it at SIA, and like an overwhelming amount of people came up to me and were like, we love your show.
We love this.
We love this. And so I was like, oh, I guess I will keep making. And I was putting them out once a week, which is crazy. Like, I think that there's 47 episodes.
There's that many out. Yeah. Wow. That's dope.
And you had a good following. People were looking forward to him, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that stuff was so funny. And like, I mean, the thing about that made that show truly good is that it was before I was actually on the inside. So I didn't have like a personal connection to a lot of these people. So it was like a lot easier to talk.
Yeah, real
shit.
easy to say whatever's on your mind.
Well, I remember a lot of pros who get pretty chapped when you give them a jab. That's a funny thing to talk about. We should get into that.
I'm trying to like think about who I think gets like the most mad. Like,
Did you ever have any situations where they took you aside and said anything, or do they not know you well enough to even do so?
Frankly, I don't think I've gotten like that much, like crazily, like enough back. A lot of it is hearsay.
Hearsay,
it gets back to me that someone's pissed or that someone.
Small world in snowboarding.
I'll tell you what, he kind of fired off some shots at me
At
at
you.
one point, and I'll tell you what it was good for. It was like it stung. It was about my Mayday part, I remember, and I remember
Front
hearing it, and like my ego got in
What'd you
check.
say about his front flip? You were just
I
like,
just was like, I remember it well. I was like, damn. So they're just ending the Videographs movie with a front flip off a dam. Like, okay. and like, it was like basically that, but it was just kind of like a,
yeah.
And
It wasn't too brutal. Like other people definitely got it worse than me, but it was good because I mean, at that point I was super proud. My first ender I ever gotten.
It was the ender of the full
I've never gotten
movie.
ender before, and then it
was
gets
the
shit on.
ender.
And I was like, it was good for my ego. I needed to get taken down
Yeah,
a couple
sometimes you
pegs.
need that, right?
You need to be able to like. That's the problem with a lot of snowboarders. They take themselves so seriously, and they can't take it's so much better to take it graciously and be like, oh,
especially in this day and age,
yeah,
man.
At the end of the day,
If
I
you
feel
can't take that.
most of your points, you're kind of like, even if it's about me, like even when it was about me, I was like, he's kind of got a good point.
Yeah.
Like
The stuff he says is what people are thinking, so you got to like take it
Just take it graciously.
and digest it and be like, all right, fuck it.
well, and that honestly, to bring it like back to YoBeat in a lot of ways, like that was how I decided I had to stick out at YoBeat, because I think YoBeat was so known for just going for the throat every time with like without a real consideration of like, this is maybe off, color or whatever. And I just was like, all right, if I'm going to like talk shit, I'm going to make sure it's poignant, and I'm going to make sure that like it's relatively, agreeable. But when, things, so we can get into like how YoBeat starts to unfold in a like negative way for me.
Let's hit it. What happened?
Yeah, I'm sure people are interested.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically Nike Snowboarding enters the arena at this time and injects some bills, some Chetty bisques.
Some bisque. Okay.
We talking big bisque, like large bowl of soup?
I'm thinking this is a nice big pot of soup,
Big cauldron.
Yeah.
Cauldron.
And
of
there's a lot of people
cheddar
coming
bisque.
to eat it.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of people.
A lot of
feeding
hungry hippos, if you will.
Yeah. So, lo and behold, of course,
I
Brooke.
used to like that game, man. Hungry Hippos.
Yeah, well, you
Good
eat the food when
You
it
wanna
comes
know
in.
what's crazy is my dad works for Milton Bradley, or did at the time, and he wrote the directions, I believe, for that game.
What?
Wow.
Hungry Hippos.
Wow.
Wow. Big
Stan's
interesting
dad,
fact.
that is an insane fun fact, wrote the directions for Hungry Hippos.
I believe that's true. He's got a crazier one, though, which is right after the Art of the Deal, the book came out, they put out a game with Milton Bradley, Donald Trump did. And when you open the game, there's like a letter from Donald Trump. My dad ghost wrote it. Like,
Sick. That's so dope.
That's a fun little fact.
Yeah.
insane. He's like,
Of course, Trump didn't write it.
yeah, my dad wrote that.
That's
So-
awesome. That's freaking.
And now he's like, damn it.
yeah.
but like whatever.
Yeah, but either way, that's still something to be
Good thing
proud
on the
of.
resume, though. Ghost
Yeah.
wrote for Trump.
Yeah, straight up. But shit, okay. Cheddar biscuit.
Back to
Nike.
the cauldron of Nike.
Cauldron of Nike money infused to YoBeat.
Yes. So Brooke, like, you know, Nike's a Portland brand. YoBeat is a Portland brand. And Brooke's super savvy with the internet, like really in touch, really knew what was going on, can run a Twitter, can run all that. So like Nike Snow hired her to be the social media manager for Nike Snowboarding, I believe.
Separate from YoBeat.
So at that point, I feel like that was when it started to feel like there was like money in YoBeat. And that was the first time that they said, we can actually pay you like a salary. And that's when I was like, I made it. You know, like I did it.
You weren't actually getting a salary before that. What, it was just hourly?
I was doing the shit for free. Like,
Oh, but you're intern.
Really? Those first videos were free.
free as hell. Just
Sick.
straight up free.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was so unproven too that I felt like I didn't
Yeah, you
even
got to get your foot in the door. So
consider anything else, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just dedicated, I had nothing else going for me in Portland.
you got to think a rider at the time would be snowboarding for free
Right.
until they get figured out. So,
Totally.
Yeah, it's no difference. You're just on your lane.
Yeah. So at this time, like I'm chilling. I'm like, I'm feeling like I made it.
Yeah,
pretty
you're
much.
getting paid.
Yeah, and I'm not getting paid that much. I think I was getting paid like
Let's talk about the biz.
I don't know, maybe $2,000 a month, maybe.
Which isn't bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Were you
livable.
still working at the restaurant at the
Quit
time?
the
You
restaurant.
quit. Yeah, so
Out.
yeah,
2 racks a month coming in.
coming
Yeah.
in.
And I was paying like maybe like $300 a month in
For
Portland,
rent?
living in like some foreclosed house. Like
Yeah, so when you look at it that way, $2,000 is
I
not
was,
bad.
I was fine.
Yeah.
And then
It's not like you got a big mortgage or something.
right, I didn't have
Fresh out of
many
college.
expenses. And then at some point, like Nike just went, pivots. Like
Nike pivots.
They did a little pivot.
pivot.
They did a pivot.
In and out
Classic
of that
pivot.
snowboard industry.
and the money disappears. And now I've been doing stuff. I don't know like really how long had gone by at this point, but like I had been doing stuff for them, and in my opinion, like I was killing it for them. Like, and I was like making most of the original content that I thought people were down with.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where when the money disappeared, I wasn't getting a salary anymore, and I now would only get paid when I made a video.
Oh, shit.
So this is why Hate Line started coming out every week, because I
Yeah.
was like, well, okay.
If I'm only going to get paid, I got to make
like
videos.
$200 a video or something, like $250 a video or something like that.
So you're turning and burning.
Yeah,
And you're trying to make $2,000 a month still,
That's when
probably.
I first started to like kind of write checks my mouth couldn't cash in a lot of ways. I think that's when I started to rub people the wrong way in some because I
Just
would get
because you were
tacky.
putting them out so
I remember one actually was when I like went in on. I said like Frank April cheated on the X Games voting, which I didn't even really know
That-
if it was
there-
true. But like,
I guess
but like, and it was funny because this was right around when we were talking about Ragdoll. Like you
Oh, yeah,
called
yeah,
me
yeah.
when I was in Portland and asked me if I was interested in like making content for Ragdoll. And then I remember it was like, oh, another week, need a check, like put out a hate line, ended up throwing Frank April under the bus. And then I don't think we like talked like it. I don't know if that was related, but in my head, I was like, fuck. Like, and we didn't talk for like a year.
I think Ragdoll just dismantled on its own. I don't know if there
Yeah.
was that, but
did
also
it ever even start?
my memory is not to be trusted a lot
Yeah.
of times. It's not very reliable.
It's hot in here.
Yeah. We're
I've actually cooled down.
really?
Yeah. I think it's this ice water, dude. It's doing me right.
But yeah, so
Pro tip.
I started to like, sometimes I feel like I started to get a little too snappy.
Yeah.
And
I think-
but that's how you test the boundaries.
Yeah.
I think there was talk about all that, though, so I don't think you were out of your right to.
There was
to-
definitely talk
People
about
like
it.
consuming it.
Yeah.
Consuming it. And with YoBeat, the comments were visible. So it was like totally like, it's an interesting one. There is a role of like, I think about this because I'm a big consumer of Barstool Sports, right? So
Yeah.
I will listen or watch some type of media on Barstool and take the opinion of that, podcaster and regurgitate the same thing to my friends as if it's my own.
Sure.
And I feel like with Hate Line, a
Yeah.
lot of people do the same thing when you're a media person.
Totally.
They just,
And I actually started to like resent that in a way because like I started to feel, and I still totally feel this, a pressure to say something about everything because like people are like, well, what do you say? What is your opinion on this, Stan? And I sometimes I get mad. I'm like, God forbid you guys decide what you feel about this on your own.
They gotta hear what you say first.
Do I need to spell this all out for you? Like
before we say
You
anything,
do, though, I
what's
think.
Stan's opinion on this? It's good though, you got a good opinion.
I become the sounding board in a lot of ways. And sometimes I feel that on the old shoulders, you know, but I literally asked for this. Like, and that's what I always tell myself when I get frustrated. It's like, this is what I was always working for. I wanted to be in this position.
Yeah.
You know,
When you were making Surge when you were 15 years old, VCR to VCR is how I'd like to imagine it.
yeah.
You probably
It's like how I'd like to imagine it.
you probably would never think you'd be. I don't even know what
The
your
moment-
current is.
the
It
mo-
editor of Snowboard Mag?
Editor of Snowboarder Mag, man.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like-
that's a big position.
Yeah, that's
it's a
a-
big dog
never,
position.
never would have thought that.
Yeah.
I think the first time I knew I had made it, I was at my first bank slalom, and I walked into a house, and Travis Parker was braiding someone's hair, and he just was, you know, and I was like, oh my god, because he was my dude.
Yeah.
Like Travis Parker was my guy. Like
Our
still-
you were in the Air Blaster, and you
Yeah.
were in the Robot Food.
December
and-
as a movie, like Jake Price, like
Yeah.
that was another integral movie in making me understand, like, you can be like funny and weird and have a place in snowboarding.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's cool too is how you self-taught yourself how to edit, and you went to college
And it
did all this
shows.
stuff. No, dude,
And
your
it
shit
shows.
looks awesome, man.
I mean, it's getting better. I'm getting better at it, but it almost is unfortunate. Like I was saying, those early episodes are so funny because they're so poorly edited that it looks intentional. Like I can never get that back. Like now it just looks like I'm kind of trying, you know?
Dude,
But
you
it's
were
like-
flying in an episode recently. I mean, you've come a long way, dude. The effects.
That most recent intro was like that was quarantine time. Right?
Yeah,
that was like
you
I had
plenty of
time.
time
to
to
make
get
that.
that
The leaf
together.
blower going on your hair or something, or a fan?
Yeah, I had someone blowing.
Leaf blower, right?
Hair dryer.
Oh, that's what it was. Hair
Hairdryer.
dryer. Yeah, yeah.
and I'm laying on a bed with
Yeah.
a green.
Yeah, I saw a
the
photo
behind the
of that.
scenes of that is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I always try and throw in like a quick like shot of what the green screen, because it's haggard. Like
Yeah.
It's like folded over.
in
and shit.
Portland, usually I lived in Forrest Bailey's house. I lived in, and like he had this little sketchy closet in his basement, like dust like falling, and I had like little lights and a little rogue. Like that's where I was making in Portland. Just go down in the basement, like whip something up. And it's like clamp lights. You would be amazed about how poorly my setup is.
Yeah.
Even still.
Yeah.
Clamp lights and like floodlights and all. But it's yeah.
It's TV magic. All that matters is that final product, man. That's what's
Also,
dope.
I'm not a big fan of like overproduction and cleanliness. I like it a little rough around the edges, you know?
Yeah, me too. I'm with that as well. But I also like to make the like obvious stunts look like as real as possible. Like I really trip out on trying to make it like as seamless as possible.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm flying away or if I'm like my head explode, like whatever it is. Like, and I do like so much research on like YouTube about how to do these things.
Yeah, there's so many sick videos. You could probably Google how to make your head explode on film.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I tried. So to go to Burton, it's like I tried to get a job at Burton as a video editor like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But like, I'm so self-taught that I think I couldn't do it. Like, I don't think I could even do it. Like, I think when people open up my project, they're like, what is your deal, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I've had people over the shoulder who like actually edit, and they're looking at what I'm doing. And they're like, are you serious? And I'm like, this is the only way I know.
Straight up.
And they're like, this works.
It's like
the way you
I
do
see
it.
that with Stevens too, editing Greenberg, because I would look down in his timeline and how he did things, and I'm self-taught. He's self-taught. We're both just doing things ass backwards.
Yeah.
And you see somebody like Justin Meyer come through who's just like shortcut. Like, oh, that took 30 seconds.
Oh, it's incredible. The shortcuts
key
are.
commands, man. You gotta learn those.
Yep.
I wish I was better at that. That's a fact.
You know what's sick is a lot of time the key commands float between all programs, so you learn them. You can pretty much learn them for everything.
Yes.
Buds, have you been doing those on your photos? I heard you're running a little late on the submissions.
Who said that, dude? This guy?
Every time I talk,
My
every time
photos are in. Dog.
I talk to one of my sponsors. Is he ever going to send us any photos, or are you guys just
Those
reporting
photos
podcasts
are
all the time?
in, dude. all my.
That's what
photos
you guys
are
get.
in,
That's
dude.
what you get, though. It's like overnight, you guys became a snowboarding sensation. You guys are snowboarding therapists now. Like, I can't even imagine
Snowboarding
what you're going to
therapist.
pull out of me here today. I'm scared.
We're going to cry and have
We're
a good
gonna
hug
go
when
deep.
we're done.
Yeah, but the problem is we've always got tabs on you now, Stone. Like, before,
True.
one of your, like, key things was like the allure of uncertainty. Where is he?
Yeah.
Nobody knows where you are,
Now
really.
I'm in
But
this
now
garage.
we can track you down pretty easily.
Yeah, true.
But his photo, I gotta say, his photos are in. He's got some great stuff. He's still got it, folks.
Still
How's the
got it.
lens? Is it clean, or is it looking all fucked up?
Yeah, no, it's good.
They
Well,
gotta
actually,
put
that's a
special
Mark
filter
Clavin
over it.
question.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a Mark
Clavin is he's really getting into his job. He's doing well, and the The photos are in focus. I got confirmation.
Oh, you did? All right, keep things moving. We got to hit a fan favorite for the people here.
Oh, gosh, I got it.
You know, Stan, you've roasted a lot of people in your life.
I have.
And I feel like if you don't get this right, you are going to get heavily roasted.
I also think that. So there's a lot. I'm sweating. This
Okay.
is the scariest. I love that you guys do this. It's the scariest thing ever.
I'm going to take it away with the intro first. So this isn't the
Yeah,
song.
we gotta run
Stevie
the
actually, I
intro.
think, thought this was the song.
Yeah, Stevie did kind of think that's a song.
Yeah, so,
He was like,
I'm trying to think. I'm like, no, that was the intro, Stevie.
Yeah.
that would have been sick if he threw out a name.
Mark Frank Montoya.
That's Mark Frank.
Okay, so
How you feeling?
Honestly, I don't want to say anything. I just I'm scared. Basically, this is such a litmus test for whatever reason. It's a pissing match in snowboarding. If you can name like the video
is.
part, you're a god.
It's
And
one I don't get involved in.
I know, but
personally.
sometimes you can't help but catch the smoke, and I
Yeah.
guess that's where we are today.
Yeah, you're in a position where you gotta. All right, let's go.
I got it. Wow, you guys, that's nice of you. That's Bobby Meeks, lame.
I knew that one, dog.
yeah, right, bud. Let's be honest. You don't
Bobby
know
Meeks
any
is
of
my
them.
old roommate.
All right, what we have here.
Wow.
Igloo sent us some custom-made coolers. We got we got a little 6-pack cooler for the listeners that's wrapped in some bomb hole print, and inside of it you got a mug and some stickers and what we call a fun little prize pack, huh, buds?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Here's what else we got, bro.
What?
Blitzkrieg. The people have been wanting to test your skills, dog.
Oh, this is I'm blindsided. I'm blindsided.
Stevens,
Oh wow! All
Put a little
right.
video for you together. I think I can just play it into here, hopefully.
Okay. All right. The table's turned.
Yeah,
Here we go.
tables
have turned.
Let me see if I can work this.
Stone hit me up and he said he wanted me to throw a video part at you so we could challenge your knowledge. So you know I got a fetish for the old
It's
ones.
not a meatball, dog.
Maybe that sounded weird, but all right. Here's the
Meatball
song.
fetish.
You ain't got that, dog.
Keep listening. Keep playing it. Oh, okay. He knows. Oh my God.
Sabotage by Sleepy Steves.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go ahead and take a fat L on that.
Oh. Do we wait and let people guess?
Yeah, let's let the listeners
And,
guess.
and then we'll post it. Maybe Scotty can put a video up. And,
Yeah, maybe Scotty can. I also, for the record, have no idea.
I was gonna say,
dude, he went ham on you.
because
He wasn't nice.
He does. Yeah, he's not nice. It's like
No.
he's a nerd. He's a nerd. He
Yeah.
is the snowboard
He
nerd.
set you up.
I have secondhand snowboard nerd from
It's
him.
kind of more for my generation. It's
Yeah,
an old
like,
one.
dude, I'm not
It's an old
fucking
one.
95 years old like you guys. Like, my knowledge stops at technical difficulties. After you go past destroyer technical difficulties, it's a wrap. I'm not gonna get it. I don't know hard,
and
hungry,
he must
homeless.
have knew that. It was not from that movie.
Yeah,
But it's-
he was going for blood.
But
on
here's
that.
the thing, though.
I was gonna say grenade for a second, but it wasn't.
Nope, it's older. It's
If it's in 1906 or earlier,
Yeah.
Buds knows.
Was this before electricity or after that?
it's just an old awesome. I mean, when you've definitely seen the movie, and I'm sure you saw it growing up. But we'll let the people guess.
Let the people guess.
Yeah,
Also,
and then
shout
we'll-
out to
we'll
Scotty
post it.
Steven for I call him Scotty Steven.
Scotty Steven. It's because we put you on the spot. I got you off kilter. But you know what? The fans of the show, I must have got about 10 different requests.
Really?
For people to test your
Oh,
knowledge.
well, yeah, we're taking an L. I'm gonna take that one on the chin.
So that was actually a fan idea right there. But
Well-
they didn't. I don't think anyone knew that Stevens would be so unkind to you.
Well, shout out to Stevens. Just had a kid, Violet.
Yeah, props.
Healthy baby daughter.
Sorry to sneak attack you, dog.
No, I love it. I love it. I love getting thrown.
You were
for a
looking
loop.
at me like, "What's going on? What's happening?"
You know what's funny? Like what I always think, Scott Stevens is one of the ones like who I still like kind of fan out. He was my coach at High Cascade.
Oh no way.
Yeah, and actually like like
He was your coach?
He was my coach, and
You
I guess
lucked out, dude. That's
straight
getting
up.
a coach.
But like then this is funny / sad, which is I went home and this was like the MySpace days, I think, and I was going to Theory one day, dropped a little message over to Sleepy like, "Hey, it's Justin. I was in your group at High Guys Gate. Like, I'm gonna be at Theory. It'd be sick to see you." Just left me on red.
No,
Yeah,
on red.
Well, like I don't know if that was a thing back then, but like no response.
No response.
And I feel like I saw him again, like for the first time since then at like
He's like,
Seattle
"Sorry, dog."
downtown throwdown or something, and I like was like shamed. I was felt ashamed.
You didn't want to say anything to him.
Yeah, I was,
He's actually the nicest human
Oh
being.
my
He
God,
really
I
knows
know.
The fact that he's going to hear that, he's
I'm
going
kind
to
of surprised
"Oh,
that
I'm
he
such
didn't
a-
hit you
I
back.
can't believe I did that. Like he's going to probably call you, send you like a thank you
Yeah.
bouquet of flowers.
he's
or
still
some
my
shit.
favorite though. It didn't stop him from being my favorite.
Chris, you can get him back when he sits in that seat.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was for when Scott sits in that seat. We're going to hit him with like a 4-pack.
Yeah, let's hit
Yeah,
him with some.
that's true.
I want to queue up one from some.
He's got to
somebody
like
old.
list what tricks go with it as well.
And you
Yeah,
probably
what-
can though.
Yeah.
I
Couldn't-
bet we can get him though.
He couldn't tell you how to cook like lasagna or anything like that. He couldn't tell you how to cook an egg for that matter.
He's about
but he
to
could tell
learn.
you what like trick is going on at a minute 03 of a video part.
Minute 03.
Useful skill.
He's about to learn a whole lot though, being his father. So we'll
Yeah,
see
well,
what up.
talking about Scott, I thought he was gonna like when he got dogs. I was like, dude, you were insane. You're gonna suck, and he's like the best dog dad ever.
True,
So he'll
yeah.
be, that's my
He's
theory.
gonna take it like a champ.
But we technically we're still in
yeah,
name
let's
that
still
video
play.
part.
Yeah, oh, that's a
So
long
I'm
one.
gonna. This is a long-winded name that video part. We're gonna play a second song coming at you.
Let's go.
Comment on the photo of Stan for a dual prize pack potential. That one's
That
gonna,
was quick.
That's
dude.
actually a meatball though. That's a meatball sub. Thank you guys for playing Name That Video part.
extended version.
We can slap a little extended on the. How we doing, Stan?
I feel good. I feel like I'm maybe rambling too much.
you're doing
dude,
great.
You're doing great.
You
I
got-
feel like after Name That Video part, shit. That's when shit starts to get real.
Yeah, that's when
too.
we start
We're all a little
kinda
more
like-
loosened up.
Yeah,
We're feeling
as we
good.
haven't really pointed out yet, I'm not usually in the hot seat.
Yeah, you're
So-
normally
You
the
put
one.
yourself in the hot seat though.
I didn't.
No, I mean you do when you do your show.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're
yeah,
just
yeah,
the man putting yourself in the hot
Totally,
seat.
yes. But normally I don't have to interact with my own
Other
answers so
people.
quickly. I
Oh,
get
true.
to like kind of decide what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Now I have to be reactionary, start
You can
talking about
finesse your show.
Sleepy Stevens leaving me on red when I'm 17.
Well, I'll tell you, it reminds me of the scene in Step Brothers when they're auditioning for the job, and they do a little role reversal, and then basically they ask the lady how much she makes a year after taxes. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that situation.
That's kind of what we got going on here. But I actually, I love it. I'm glad. It's cool. I mean, you guys are doing such an incredible thing that I'm like a little jealous. So,
How are just from your perspective?
Damn,
how are
son.
we doing on our side from a person that's better at it than us?
Yeah,
I don't
We're not
I don't even
classically
think
trained.
I'm better. I did not, in fact, go to podcast you.
Yeah,
despite what
we thought about it. We were gonna enroll.
it's an online
Yeah,
course.
it's an online 2-year
Stevens
course.
Henniger College, actually.
Podcast
That's a new
University.
branch of DeVry. Podcasting.
They probably have it though. That's what's probably funny. They
But
probably
I can
exist.
see Bud's up there, the whiteboard, just kind of like teaching a class. Bud's, he's got Venn diagrams and shit
cheddar
going.
biscuits is underlined
Or cheddar
3
biscuits.
times. No, you guys are
This is
killing
the
it.
most important thing.
You're gonna
cheddar
want to talk
biscuits.
about the bisque
This is why it's good because Stoney has been around forever.
since the.
Not an offensive way,
Before
but like,
Christ.
yeah, before time as we know it. And
True.
you've got such an insight on the things like that have gone out, and you're still in it. You know,
Yeah.
you're still out there shooting. And then Grenier's like ability to recall everyone's specific tricks and photos, I find like completely
is
mind
pretty
blowing.
impressive.
It's so you guys are doing it like really right. A lot of people ask us if this is a Snowboarder Mag project, and I usually just stop talking. I'm like, yeah, sure, I think that. Whatever. No, I
For the
don't.
record, it is not.
Yeah.
We have no sponsors. So
None.
if you want to sponsor,
Yeah.
You want to send some bisque?
DeVry, if you're listening.
if you're
We
looking
will teach a class.
for Stevens Henniger, DeVry, anybody, let us know.
ITT Tech, are you out there? Could hook these guys up. I think Chris built this. He could fucking make
You know
a
what's funny?
woodworking. zone.
Going back to like rough around the edges, people are like, "Man, your set's incredible." I'm like, I went to Home Depot. I bought like the shittiest, cheapest wood. This thing took me 30 minutes to make. This is actually how my garage pretty much is already.
My mom thought this was all like put here like a professionally
yeah.
built set. That each piece put there like for a
Well,
reason.
dude, I mean, you're kind of a man's man, kind
He's
of,
a man's
and this
man.
is your
should see my
dojo.
garage.
This is kind of your zone. I mean, you're always building. I mean, you're known for it. You know, I wish the golf cart was still.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, whatever happened to the golf cart? Just died.
It stopped
Jumped
running,
it.
and
Jumped
then
it to oblivion.
Did a rock to fakie on it. Figured
yeah.
I had to burn it because there's no coming back from that.
yeah, we kind of, yeah, well, enough about me though. We gotta stay on target here. We're not talking. We need to. What I wanted to talk about is that, like, me and Buds, I'm going to speak for both of us. We care about snowboarding a lot. We are snowboard nerds. And I feel like in other things like skateboarding and like year-round 365 sports, there's like a deep culture within it where people like care about it. They breathe it. That's what they are. That's their group of friends. And I feel like it's cool, like with snowboarding, having somebody like yourself that cares, that's doing things like Last Resort and kind of like, for lack of a better term, like caring about snowboarding and almost like a romantic. I don't know. What's your relationship with that and your take on all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, people say that to me a lot, actually. Like, I'm glad it's you because you care. And I guess it's just a result, you know, like I just wouldn't be able to be here, I guess, if I didn't care. At least that's how I think. Like, I don't think, and truthfully, like, I don't really know how to describe it any other way than the simple feeling of having both of your feet strapped into that snowboard going downhill is the single most fun thing I've ever done in my life. And every single time that I do it, rain, shine, whatever, ice, I love it. So it's like, and I don't know. It's like driven relationships. It's like there's been plenty of sacrifices, as I'm sure you guys are as well. You know, like, who knows what it is exactly that makes it just like, I love it. So I think it just, you grow up on, especially on the East Coast as well. Like, you grow up and when the winter hits, like, it's dark, you got to like, you're out there in the snow, you got to stay entertained. And then as soon as I started to realize there was a culture to it, which I was pretty late to compared to some people, like, I didn't really start to like dig into snowboard culture. Like, I started skiing when I was 2 and I started snowboarding when I was 9, but I didn't really understand the culture until I was like 16, 17 maybe. And a lot of people are already like, Tanner Pendleton's already pro for World Industries by that point.
He's already almost
like,
retiring
yeah,
at that point.
it's like, you know, so like, I don't know. And I think it's only grown, you know, and through my like work and my ability to talk and become this like interesting role in snowboarding that like gets to be funny and weird. Like, I just love it. Like, how could you not? This is what you want, you know? And so it's cool. And it works out when it's genuine. And if you're really into it and you really are that, because how else could you, like, I couldn't describe, and like sometimes I couldn't describe to like partners or whatever, why I was willing to edit a video for 12 hours straight for like $200.
Yeah.
You know, like, to some people it just doesn't make sense. But like, I was always, even my parents, I think when I finally got the job as editor of Snowboarder Mag was the moment they were like, oh, okay.
Oh, this worked out.
And I'm 31 now, you know, like, and they like, I think that they were like, what are
understand
you doing?
Last Resort and all that.
Well, they think it's funny and like they watch it, but my parents like don't snowboard or know anything about snowboarding. And like, I wasn't like competing a bunch as a kid that they would like come, like they would kind of just ditch, like leave me at the hill and I would go shred and they pick me up and they knew I loved it and they were supportive of that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I just loved it from the second I started doing it. And I think it was just because it was idolized to me maybe by like this one family that I was like heavily raised by as a kid. The Homeyers, they just were like a family of shredders. Like, I remember like the older brother having a Black Flies sweatshirt that I thought was mad fly. And like,
they helped you
Vans
see the culture.
shoes were the cool shit. And like, they just shredded. And the dude is still Jeff Homeyer. He's going to be like, yeah. But Jeff Homeyer is like, he was 16. I was like 10. And he was just local legend. Like, Ripper.
Butternut Ripper?
Butternut Ripper.
Oh, yeah.
That's dope.
Butternut Low.
And the other place that doesn't really get as much shine is Bosquet. Have you ever been there? It's like 20 minutes away. And it's
I never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's super small. And it's the first place in the U.S. that ever had night skiing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
You know what's by there is Berkshire East.
Berkshire
I used to
East.
go there as a kid, too.
Yep, right over in that direction. Berkshire East is sick. I actually like didn't go there really as a kid. I wouldn't go there until later, but that's like where Barris, is that where Beresford Road or is?
No, he was Blandford.
Blandford, right? Yeah, yeah.
Blandford. But one thing I was hearing some cool stuff there is a lot of people think that like it's like it took you 31 years almost to become like an overnight success in a degree. Like it sounds like that sounds fucked up to say, but like you've been throwing shit at a wall, seeing what sticks forever.
A long time.
And then it's like people just it's like don't take your foot off the gas.
It's like
you
can't give up.
Go.
You gotta
And then
keep going.
next thing you know, you're like making these shitty videos, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're editor of the Snowboarder Magazine. It's like
Straight
just
up.
keep going. It's
And
kind of inspo.
It all happened in the craziest way because, like, I mean, to be honest, my back was kind of against a wall. Like when they hired me, like I really had to figure out like what I was going to do because I had been making Last Resort. Now I was making Last Resort by myself.
How'd you come up with the Last Resort? Like, what was the?
Literally, I love this actually because I called it Last Resort because in my head, so during the YoBeat, like whatever meltdown, at a certain point, Brooke comes to me and she's like, "Hey, I'm really tired of everyone thinking YoBeat is so negative all the time. You need to change the name of the show from Hateline." And I was pissed. I was 47 episodes deep, and I was like, "Oh, we need to change Hateline at YoBeat. That's what we need to change." Like,
It's gonna solve all the problems.
yeah, I was like, it's literally like it's a joke off the name Skateline. Like that's intentional. And in the first episode, if you watch it, I like own that immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right
this
out of the
is-
gate.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a snowboarding version of. But like we said before, it's like. It's not like Gary Rogers invented joke news. Like I caught a lot of heat in the beginning for just biting Skateline, but it's like making a funny news show was not invented. Like I was inspired by Gary Rogers to realize I could do it in snowboarding, but like I've been making hammy videos my whole I was like,
when you look at Saturday Night Live, they've had news shows since what, the 70s?
exactly like so. Yeah, I don't know. I forget what the question.
No, like he was asking. What
I was
the
asking
creative
how you got the
process
name.
And
Last Resort,
Yeah.
right? So Brooke asked me to change the name from Hateline, and so I changed it to the News Show, and I do 12 episodes, and it's called the News Show. I don't even wear the red suit anymore. I wear a gray suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these are like lost episodes, kind of. But like I did one in
These
Europe.
are the dark years.
Yeah, this is the dark years.
You're wearing all gray.
Yeah, this is the dark years. Actually, and I was haggard.
Your
I was
soul's been plucked from you.
Drinking too much, probably.
drinking too much. Height of my like Portland like kind of party days. I got long hair, this gross mustache, and like a goatee. Like thinking I look dope, like ugly, and like, and so yeah, that was a dark time. And I was calling it the news show, and then basically my final nail in the straw with nail in the coffin with YoBeat was like they were paying me like a laughable amount to make those videos, and I wasn't even showing up at the office anymore because they had an office. I was just like Venmo requesting them
Nice.
for the videos
From your house.
Yeah, from Forrest's house where I was like living, making the videos, and then they called me and they're like, "We actually have to cut your budget again,"
Whoa.
and I was like. I'm done. Like, this is insane. And they were like, yeah, we just think like, they basically were like, we don't think you're actually that important to the overall thing.
To YoBeat?
To YoBeat.
Jesus.
And in my mind, you were the
He's the
only
glue.
thing.
I would be in Europe and like people would be like, oh, you didn't start YoBeat? And I would be like, no. Like, and shouts to Brooke because I always thought Brooke was such a G for being a woman in snowboarding and making that thing real because YoBeat was real. Like she made that pop like pretty much by herself.
And she got a lot of years out of it. I mean,
Yeah. And so I was always like hyped on that. But yeah, they just were like, we're going in another direction. And then they ended up like saying skiing. They put out like a letter that was like skiing is
I saw
okay
that.
now. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you guys
They were like just
doing?
going off the deep end.
Off. Yeah. And then they like stopped it finally. And I was like, but
So it was
and
the
then she
last
actually put out
resort.
an interview that said that they fired me, and that pissed me off like a
Damn.
lot because they didn't. They did not fire me. They called me and tried to cut my pay. Yeah,
You're
thank you. Yes,
But you're not actually fired. So you're fired, but you're not fired.
and I was mad. I called her and I remember being bummed. I was like, dude, I can't believe you said that because like.
Because it didn't happen.
And I never aired you guys out, and I could have.
Yeah.
and like
I mean, that's what you're good at. So
yeah,
you could have.
and
I mean, you have an opportunity to right now if you want. But, you know,
If
whatever.
you want to do a 60-minute skit, YoBeat, or 60-second,
Get some green screen.
we could set up the green screen.
Get a fan going.
We got the
Flying.
suit. We got the suit. Let's go. So I make the news show. I do 12 episodes. Gray suit. She calls. I'm like, this is done. And I spend a year basically like not doing. I leave Portland I go back east, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. And this is kind of where I
Did you
start.
go to Burlington again, or
First, I stopped back in Western Mass, where I'm from, and hung there for a little while. And then I went to Burlington, and I realized like I was just working at a coffee shop, and I helped Aki Helgeson make his project in Iceland at the time, which was really cool. And that was like the one thing I did that whole year that like kind of kept me with skin in the game. And then literally one day I was like sitting in Burlington and I saw a video that SIA had paid Jack Matrani to make. And Jack Matrani was sitting at a desk with a suit and he's like telling some shit and he gets Joey B on and I was fired up.
Really?
I was like, are you serious? Like got pissed. Cause I saw the like, what was it? Angry Snowboarder tried to do like a show too. And it was like,
I never saw that.
Straight up trash.
That dude's a fucking joke.
Yeah. It was trash. It was trash. So,
Aired
like,
out.
I didn't even care that like they were doing that at all. But for some reason, when Jack Matrani made this video, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why have I stopped doing this? Like,
Yeah.
I've been like a year. And this is when I got into comedy as well. So that was cool, which we can talk about. But like, I was like, what am I doing? And I decided at that point, I got to make a show. But in my head, I was like, 47 episodes of Hateline, 12 episodes of the new show. If I do this again, this is the last resort. Like,
That's
this is
sick.
it.
Yeah.
Like, because if this shit doesn't work, like, you stop.
Because
Just
that's
stop.
a lot of episodes to put out.
Yeah, and I was like beating down people's door forever trying to get money
Yeah.
for this. Like, I was trying to pull the show out. That Bridges and I had conversations about trying to pull the show, like me trying to pull the show because from YoBeat and bring it to Snowboarder Mag. That like never
during
really
that
went.
time,
yeah,
yeah.
that never went anywhere for whatever reason. So yeah, Last Resort was just like a name that I was like this. And so what's funny though is I call Haldor. At that time, Haldor had started his brand called A-Trip. And in my head, I'm like, this show's never going to work if people don't think someone's paying for it.
Yeah.
So I called Haldor and asked him if I could just put a logo for A-Trip in the front of the show
Sick. To make it look
to make
legit.
it look like legit. And he just goes, yeah, also I can just pay you.
I will pay you.
So sick.
And I was like, no way. So
Yeah.
he paid like out of pocket
To make
for
it
the
happen.
first 5 episodes of Last Resort,
That's so
which
sick.
is incredible.
Yeah.
That's a testament to how much he cares about snowboarding too, which is
For real.
Oh, I will like forever am indebted to that guy
Yeah, he
for
got you
taking me
going,
seriously for years
Yeah.
and for backing me for years. And so yeah, he paid for the first 5. Like and when I say paid for, he paid me to make them.
Yeah. But
And
it allowed you to make a living and
right.
and do what you
And
needed
then
to
from
do.
there, he got Lobster to like sign on to it.
Sick.
So we transferred it over to Lobster, and then like about midway through there, I realized, okay, I need a little. I want a couple more cheddar
Some
biscuits.
more biscuits to stack on
to
the
stack
fire.
on.
a little more bisque.
And it wasn't a lot. I think Lobster was paying me like $500 an episode.
Yeah.
And that was like half my job. You know, like that was like I was working that in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then I called Hava. Shouts to Hava.
I remember that he consulted me about this before it happened.
Well,
He was hyped.
thank you for greenlighting that. If you did, because I called Hava to get Stan Stance as a segment, and so from there I was like, okay, cool. Like now I'm up to like $1,000
Yeah.
to make Last Resort, and that was cool. And Hava was great. Like he like pretty much no questions. Like and same with Lobster. Like
They let you do your thing.
I
right?
didn't have to show them anything. I just would I didn't have to show them anything. I didn't even have to run anything by them, and like that was awesome to
Full
have that.
creative control.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I put those up, but then it like got to the point where like Lobster was getting fidgety. Like I could tell. Like Lobster was like, "How long are we paying you to make this?" Like
Yeah, 'cause
I was like,
budgets are
probably
hard.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I was probably
You're like forever.
literally, I said that. Like
Yeah.
I got kind of fired up, and
Indefinitely.
I was like, dude, this is like, and you have to like, even
Get
though
passionate.
you internally like feel crazy doing so, you have to go to bat for your shit because like I was like, I had to like snap and be like, dude, we're paying for it until I'm done, you know, like because this is sick and your name's on it and that's good, and I
Yeah.
need you to run that up the line, you know, like.
And it was
Well,
sick,
it makes
man.
sense if you were to break it down, like from a business standpoint too. You look at like you give some like a company might give like $5,000 to a movie project. Movie comes out, it gets like 3,000 views total, and it's like pushed down the feed. Where it's like, boom, you're coming out with a video every week. It's getting thousands of
Yeah.
views. You rack those numbers up. Like it's just on a simple business standpoint, it makes much more sense.
Makes sense.
Well, you want to know, it was a trip too for me was when I got nominated for Video Series of the Year at the Trans World Awards.
That's dope.
Because that was crazy to me.
Yep.
Because I was like, it's probably in the history of those awards, the only web series that wasn't a snowboarding like action web series.
Yeah.
To get
There
nominated.
was nothing like that had ever gotten an award.
Yeah, and the funniest
Or
part though
nominated.
is like I'm keeping track of when the dates are. Like I saw I got nominated, I was blown away. I was so hyped.
Yeah.
And Nick Hamilton hits me with a text that's like, who's the editor of Transworld at the time, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Like, are you available this weekend?" And it was the weekend of the awards show. And I was like, oh my God, I won.
Oh, snap.
And he's like, yeah, we're just super busy with all the award stuff. And we were wondering if you can go to Montreal for us. So I just like, was like, so I think I responded like, I didn't win. And he just was like, no. Dude.
Nah, you didn't,
No, you didn't fucking win.
He's like, no, you idiot. You didn't win.
Of course you didn't win. Like, you think Last Resort's going to win? Like, I think FSBS won, which was like, of course, you know, like.
That's awesome.
But I remember that being like a really funny moment because I was like, oh my God, I did it. Like, and that was, yeah, shout out.
When I remember seeing I would look forward to your episodes. I hadn't met you yet, and I was a fan. And,
Bud's is a fan.
Yeah, I was so stoked on what you were doing.
It's crazy. Like, people recognize me way more than I would think.
Yeah, that's cool.
And like,
And I had noticed too, kids get excited to get called out on your show. The young kids, right?
Yeah.
I've kind of heard this. The older people get a little worked up.
the young kids like it.
Young kids are like,
They're
I made it.
Yeah, they're like, this is it. Like this
That is the mark that you made it. Stan roasted me. We fucking did
That's
it.
basically what they're thinking. Like, we got noticed. We did something.
Yeah, and that was like, I always dude, and that hypes me up so much. Like, and learning how to talk to people that approach you, like, and like your stuff is like a really cool lesson that you probably had to learn. And like how to, and I always respected that. I respect that out of people like Haldor. I respect that out of people like Sage.
Yeah.
Who like, you see, Mark is another good one. Mark McMorris, like Danny Davis, you see these people interact with the public and they're so good.
Yeah.
And they're so attentive when, like, in a way. And like, so I think that, like, yeah, that was the key is, and whenever meeting someone that was hyped on me, like, just like letting them know that I was hyped, that they were hyped.
Yeah.
Because I was.
Yeah, you got to like be stoked to talk to every one of them. And
Well, and
those true pros, there's a reason why they're there. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know this. You're one of them.
I just remember like being a kid, it can have a positive effect. You meet somebody and they're really cool.
Yeah.
And that like it can shape your whole life.
Yeah, or you can walk away
and then
not
I've
liking that
met
pro
somebody,
anymore.
this pro Anthony Shetler that was like a pro skater by us. We were skating flat ground by him one time as a kid, and he was like, "Kids, just get out of here." And he doesn't realize that one sentence.
He said that?
That one sentence he said to me and my buddy Bert. Like, I still fucking hate this guy.
Yeah.
Like, deeply. Because it crushed me, man. It crushed me. So
Totally.
you got to realize, like, you can say the wrong thing, and if somebody looks up to you, you ruin their view of you.
Which
or
is
whatever.
funny to like see people have like stopped me in the airport and like people is like whatever, and it's like it's funny to then just be super nice. Like I remember a lot of people like Jeff Pensiero, when he met me, like owner, like bald face guy, was like, damn, you're like not an asshole. Like,
Just think you walk around
yeah,
all
like,
day.
a lot
like,
of people meet me and are like, oh, like weird. I expected you to be just like the most cynical
Like
prick
cynical
in the
and
whole world.
calling everything
And
out.
I am cynical, that's for sure. I learned that when I moved to SoCal. Because like when I was doing comedy in Burlington.
people from Massachusetts in general. Sorry to keep
No,
interrupting.
totally. Like
Just the mass
And
whole
I
thing.
love that.
Just know where you stand with people.
Yeah.
You just know where you stand.
I love that. I don't like going to a party if I can't walk out of the party and be like, what the fuck was with that guy? You know, like I don't like, I need that. Like,
Yeah.
and I can't hang out with people that aren't willing to hear me say that shit when I walk out the door. Like, it's so, yeah, I'm a little bit, I am cynical, but to a healthy degree.
Is your comedy routine cynical, or what's that all about? I still can't wait to see your show sometime.
For the listeners, Stan recently started doing stand-up comedy too.
When you did a full, like, you opened up for a comedian in Burlington, like a full tour, right? Or East Coast tour?
I've never been on like a full tour. I've opened up for
Or
some.
you
like,
did the Vermont part or something?
I've just done a bunch of like Vermont, like I've opened or hosted for some people that come through Vermont Comedy Club,
Yeah,
which is like a
I guess
cool
that's what
comedy
you were
club.
telling me.
So like they'll get people like Brad Williams or like Preacher Lawson, like some people like that. Those are two people that I have like done
Opened
stuff
up
for. My comedy is like cynical, I guess. I think so. It's pretty based in the American experience, I guess. Like I was writing some of my best shit when I was working at a coffee shop. That's for sure.
Just seeing what goes on. And
yeah. And those kind of jobs just like allow you to like have crazy insights. Like I've had so many bad jobs over the years. Like
yeah.
even like recently, like within the last like 5 years, I have worked at UPS dropping packages like during Christmas time because I needed like extra money.
Yeah,
and,
dude,
and
that
some
Christmas
cheddar
rush.
biscuits. Yeah.
yeah, and that job made me write like one of the funniest bits I thought about. Like, I mean, I could like get into it basically, but
Yeah,
like
hit
it's
it.
yeah, it's like right, like this was happening when I was working this, like right during like the start of the Me Too movement, like pretty big. And you never really know like when a moment, and I think this is like part of being a comic is understanding when you're in a situation that is worth taking note of and retelling.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually like one of the keys to being a good comic is just like, cause you experience all this crazy shit. And if you have the right perspective on it, like everything can be funny, you know? So like, I just remember they were training me for UPS and like the whole training, they're so hardcore about dogs. They're like, you have to be afraid of dogs. And I'm like, I love dogs.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
what
me
do you-
too.
like,
I would've
this is-
said the
I was
same
like,
thing.
I love dogs. You guys are like a little bit much about the dogs. But then like you're fucking in the middle of cold Vermont going across this like crazy field in Colchester and like two huge dogs.
My
are
hometown,
Yeah,
by the way.
I know. Yeah. This is where I was delivering packages. Two huge dogs are sprinting at you like big dogs towards the field. And you're like, oh, maybe now, like, I'm like, maybe now isn't dog time. And then I remember getting in the truck after this happened. I was like, damn, this is how women feel at the club. Like, you know, like women like dudes, but now's not like get run up on by some dudes time.
Yeah,
you
maybe
know?
now
Like,
I isn't so friendly with the dog ton.
yeah.
That's tight.
And then so I just like had that thought. I was like, damn, I love dogs, but like actually sometimes dogs are truly scary as shit. You know, like
So when that shit happens, do you like sit and write it down or you just make a mental note?
no, I
Move
gotta
on.
write it
Yeah,
down.
you gotta write
I
it
realized
down.
quickly that like I have like an ongoing jokes folder
That's
that
so
like
sick.
yeah, that I'll like if I have a thought where I'm like, wow, that's good. I'll
You
like
just
pull my phone
gotta
out, take a
stop.
quick note, and it usually gets like refined as I'm going.
Chris does that with side-by-side photos. The second he has an idea for one that's funny,
Oh, yeah, mock 'em
he
up.
can't
Yeah.
move,
Lookalikes.
can't like do anything until he gets it together.
No, I feel that.
I like what you're talking about though, because I feel like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the best material comes from when people are in the shit or like shitty times in their
Oh,
life.
yeah.
And I was reading this book the other day, and I don't remember his name, but there was an author that basically he would be like basically reduce himself to nothing, write an insane book, and then when he would get rich, he couldn't write for shit, so he would go gamble all of his money away
Yeah.
and have to be completely broke. And once his back was against the wall and he was broke,
He could write again.
He could write again, and that was his cycle.
Damn.
And it's like kind of
Well,
like
dude,
that
I
with comedy.
think
I feel like.
think Brooke had me on that shit too. I think Brooke knew that if I was like stressed and like,
You'd
because
put
I
out
remember
your best
she like
shit.
that's how I met Bridges. She sent me to Super Park. We were specifically not invited to Super Park Bachelor, and she sent me there and just said, "You have to go or you're fired." Like,
Really?
yes. Like you go to Super Park, make it work.
Fully uninvited to Bridges
Uninvited
domain
to Bridges domain, and that's when I first met Bridges, and I had to wait
in that
for
big line.
everyone to get through the line at Super Park so I could go talk to Bridges.
just tell him your
I
story.
walked up to him right when I got there, and he just was like,
He knew who you were.
"Yeah," and
Yeah.
he was like, "Wait for me."
That's
and so-
kind of Pat's game. That's tight.
yeah, and he like just told me don't make me regret
Yeah.
letting you in, which was
Don't put a weird line on a hip or freaking ruin.
yeah.
be
He was
somewhere
just like
you're not
don't
supposed to
basically
be.
he was just
Be
like don't
respectful.
blow
Yeah.
it because I'll remember.
There's certain rules to follow at Super Park.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So he let you in.
Yeah, so he let me in, and that was a funny year. But yeah, so that comedy stuff is sick, and I got into comedy just by like, I mean, honestly, it's funny. The sentence that got me into comedy, I remember specifically when I like decided that I wanted to do it. Well, I guess like in some senses, people may have thought that I was going to do this. Like I remember when I graduated 8th grade, they give you like superlatives, and I was like nominated for most likely to end up on Saturday Night Live.
You were
in 8th grade.
Sick,
Yeah.
dude.
And so
That's dope.
I always was kind of like I was saying, like I was always making crazy videos and I was doing kind of like crazy shit. So, but I had never really hardly considered stand up. And then I literally don't know who it was, but he was talking to Ricky Hauer, which is funny, like throwback to regular guy Airbus. I was at Timberline and the guy just goes, "Yeah, I've been trying to do stand up. It's just so crazy to think about exactly what you're going to say when you get on stage." And that sentence poisoned my brain for like a year. Like thinking about exactly what I would say if I
Yeah.
got, cause you have to like kind of know
You
at
can't
least when
just
you're
get up
starting,
and wing it.
you
yeah,
can.
If you're really good, you probably
You can.
Yeah.
But that's only if you
Like
really want to have
experienced.
longevity on the matter,
Yeah.
like, and you want to have more than one good show, because beginner's luck is real. Like the first time I ever got on stage in Portland, I did 2 minutes maybe, terrible jokes, but like I don't tell a single one of these jokes anymore. Like one of the jokes is like, yeah, everyone's mad about like people smoking weed in front of kids here. That's why I smoke it with them. Like, like bad jokes that I don't tell anymore.
But it was right for the crowd, and it
yeah,
worked.
but like it was my first time, and
Yeah.
like I was just probably so awkward, and I made it like weird, and I made it work. But then I moved back. You know, YoBeat shit fell through. I moved back east, really not knowing what I was doing. I was sitting at a local bar, kind of just shooting the shit, and I ended up sitting next to the guy who was one of the producers of the pilot of Seinfeld.
Damn.
And my eyes are just like
You knew that's who it was.
no, I didn't
Oh, you
know.
didn't?
He told me.
Oh, he told
And
you.
I would later find out, like, I looked him up on IMDb.
And he's
It
for
was
real.
legit. You
Yeah.
know, and like, I was like, damn. And he was like, yeah, I'm trying to, like, we're at Great Barrington is like a second home for New York City people in the summer, especially. They would go
okay.
visit. So he's at this, like, kind of one bougie bar in my town sitting there, and I just get to talk to him, whatever. So he's like, yeah, I've got a bunch of comic friends, just made a show on VH1 with, like, Smoking Jay Okerson, like, whatever. Like, I want to bring live comedy here. And I, at this point, who have done, like, maybe a total of 6 minutes in my life, I'm like, oh, I do stand up.
Sick.
Yeah, and I'm like, I totally just like oversell. But I've also been making the show for like years. Like I get, like I think I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I think that I get it. So I like oversell, and then he like we end up putting on a monthly show in this like barn. And the first time I write like 10 minutes, and I do great. And then the second time that I come, the headliner that he has is a guy by the name Rich Voss, who like you probably wouldn't know, but he's like the one. He's like a roast comic, and he's like the one white guy that was ever touring with Def Jam in the 90s.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, now
So he
has,
had to be good.
and he's good.
Yeah.
And so he shows up, and he's kind of immediately talking shit about the surroundings, whatever. And I get up there, and I've done my lifelong 10 minutes the last month. You know,
Yeah.
like the first. You know how like when rappers put out their first album, it's kind of like the hottest because they've been like building it their whole life.
Yeah.
You know, so like my first 10 minutes, like the first show I do, was pretty good, you know, like, and it was an amalgamation of like me thinking about this for a long time.
For a long time.
But because it's a small town, and because like my family and shit is like who's coming, my family and friends, I'm like, well, I can't jump in on the same 10 minutes. So I write an entirely new 10 minutes. Rich Voss comes, I do my 10 minutes. I've got some wandering bit about Home Depot, like about how like terrible it is to be in Home Depot. And the dude gets on stage and just destroys me, like tears me apart for like 10 straight minutes to like my whole family.
His
and
whole
friends.
bit.
Is just calling me lurch, calling me like like saying like just roasting this Dunkin' Donuts bit, like or like Home Depot bit. Like I can't believe this guy just talked about this for this long. Like what? And he's killing. That's the thing.
And he
he's
made it up
he's
on the
killing
spot.
it.
from
Making it up on the
seeing
spot, killing it, making fun of me to my family. Like,
Tail between the legs.
and that was the moment that I knew, like, damn, okay, there's people out here in comedy that'll fucking eat you if you suck.
Eat you alive.
So from that moment on, I was like, boom, like, okay, we're like showing up ready. We're showing up like we're gotta, you know, this is going to be good. We have to command the stage. And I mean, yeah, it was growing from there, but I'll never forget that. He just put me in my place so hard. And he came up to me afterwards and I think was like, hey, sorry about that.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're like,
Just what I
actually,
do,
like,
dog. That's
yeah,
what I do.
On Suicide Watch.
no, I was
basically,
cool. Like, I was like, I was okay with it. I actually wasn't like upset about it. Cause frankly, at this point, I'm probably like, you know, Hateline was over and done.
Okay, so you had, you're not like a
if-
kid.
I'm not a
This is-
kid.
yeah.
Like, and I have talked so much shit in my life that if I couldn't have let this guy talk shit at me, like I was not pissed at all. It was a really big learning.
A lot of times, those are the best lessons in your life. When somebody kind of roasts the shit out of you, you're like, God damn, that's like take your ego down a couple pegs. The thing that I think is cool about stand-up, though, is like you can't really practice it in front of people. Like the only way to practice it is to do it. Like you can't sit in your room. You can sit in your room and do your bit, but you don't
You don't
really
know how people's reactions are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need reactions in order to gauge
And
it.
I do.
You gotta
sit
hone.
in my room and practice just
But-
for the record. People like ask about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't figure out how it. But the thing is,
You don't know what's gonna hit where, and
But nothing ever hits the same.
oh really?
Like it changes from show to show. Like There's only one joke that I have really that like kills every time, and it's like when I just talk about how I look like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
I never thought about
Yeah, and I like.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, exactly. It's never not,
that hits.
Yeah,
that hits.
hits every time. I'm like, yeah. I come out and I'm like, yeah, like being like everyone like in California, and you can alter it. Like now that I live in California, I'll tell a little different. I'll be like, yeah, like everyone in California is like so hot and it's really tough because everyone has this like cool celebrity doppelganger thing going on. Like the UPS guy, I don't know if it was Cuba Gooding Jr. or not. Maybe it was. I was like, it just sucks that my celebrity doppelganger is Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
You got him.
And I get him. And then you just keep going. And it's like, and like that.
And you can tweak it no matter where
because
you
I'm
go.
basically like, I'm waiting for a day where this joke doesn't crush. You
Yeah.
know, like, and it's only getting funnier every day that I get older.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, true.
I am literally
gonna get better with time.
more and more like that guy every day. Like, so yeah, like sometimes you got a joke that just slams, and other times you got to.
The thing that's
We
interesting
should have
about
pre-recorded
comedy,
some crickets and get them to tell
Yeah,
jokes.
yeah. straight
Just
up.
fuck with them.
I've had a lot of shitty nights though, like a lot of bombs and like, but also a lot of cool stuff. And that's actually where it's funny that when it crosses over into snowboarding, like Danny Davis has been, Danny and Jack were super good about, they let me come tell jokes at Friendly Gathering one year. And like,
Sick.
yeah, and it's been cool. Like people in snowboarding, and that's the other funny part. A lot of comics who are working so hard and are so funny and trying to get their shit off the ground. And then we meet and then they look at my Instagram and they're like, how the fuck do you have this many followers?
True,
Like, they're
yeah.
like, you have over 10,000 followers?
And they got like
what?
300.
and it helped, like, honestly, the comedy thing, like, it helped me so much that people knew who I was from snowboarding, especially being in Burlington, like
Yeah.
a ski town, like,
Yeah, you go to a shred town. That's true. That's cool.
and that's where people recognize me most, like, is like, you know, Colorado, Utah,
Yeah.
like whatever. But I don't think I wouldn't be like in Iowa and someone would be like, aren't you that snowboard guy? Like,
Well, the thing that's a trip about comedy, though, too, is that, like, if you were to look at music or something, you have, like, rap, country, rock, Chad rock, whatever. Like, you got all these genres.
Chad rock.
You got all these genres, but, like, it's like comedy is just, like, blanket, like, comedy. But there's, like, cheeky comedy. There's, like, edgy comedy. There's witty. There's all these
Yeah.
different, and
Well-
so it doesn't all hit the same, right? You know.
well, the other thing that's tough too is like that people don't realize, like, and this is something I had to get used to, is like when you first start doing comedy, you want to hit, like, you feel like you're supposed to come with a new bit every time, you know, because like you're starting to feel like, oh, I'm recycling these jokes. People have heard this shit. But like when you watch like a Dave Chappelle, like, segment special on Netflix or whatever, he has been touring the entire country saying those exact words.
Every show.
And
Yeah.
every show
Yep.
for months. And that's why they don't let you film in comedy shows, because their whole shit is under this like surprise, because it's not like music where you go to a concert and you're like, play the hits. You know, like,
True.
I don't step up and then no one's like, tell the Burns joke. You know? like, because part of it is the element of surprise of the joke, you know, like
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
that you don't know what's coming. So like, I'd say that's the hardest part about comedy is like, you got to dig sometimes. And like sometimes in Burlington, I'd be like picking apart the crowd. Like Danny Davis specifically has probably heard my shit like 6 times. Like he's heard like all my shit. Like
Yeah.
there's people that have like,
He's a fan.
I hope. I hope.
Otherwise, he's bummed.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Snowboarder Mag.
Let's.
Yeah, so you got a call from Bridges, right? What was that all about?
Gotta call him Bridges. Well, yeah. So right when I would meet Stone for the first
Yeah.
time, like Bridges actually basically hit me up right the same year when shit was really popping for me, the Sculf year and the U.S. Open. Burton, shout out Zach Nigro, who like kind of made the Burton U.S. Open episode happen.
He just hit us up and said he's a fan of the show. So what up?
We hit him with a little air
Yeah.
horn?
hit him with an air horn.
Shouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he got me, like the U.S. Open episode was a big moment of realization for me because they paid me like more to make that episode than like a half year of what Lobster was paying me to
Damn.
make it, you know? So like, and that was great. And so that winter things were just going right. And U.S. Open is where I ran into Bridges and was the first time that I would actually like talk to Bridges as like any sort of like, not equal, but like where it was just like, hey, I'm here doing my thing and you're here. And we took laps and like, it was sick. He took me like while pipe finals was going on. He was like, you know, what's perfect is this is the time to ride the slope course. So like while pipe finals was going on, him and I are lapping the slope course.
You guys hitting the big hogs? Or
No,
what?
he's doing like, he's probably
doing his
destroying
butter
landings, like
moves.
doing his butter moves all down the lane. Like I was laughing like Brock just hooking an edge or something on one of Bridges, like little. But no, so yeah, I was there. And then he basically was like, do you want to come to the launch and do like interviews and stuff? Now at this time, I think that they were sussing me out to be online editor because Mark Clavin was going to quit and go work for the baseball teams. That was his job. Or
Oh, that's
what he wanted
right.
to do.
Yeah.
So I think that they were trying to suss me out. And I think Bridges, like, I think there was like a moment where we were on the chairlift and he was like, would you do it? And I was like, I think my answer was, how much? Like, how much are you paying?
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't
You
like
just hit
the
him right
number.
back with the cheddar biz.
You
Yeah.
wanted to know the best.
Well, I was like, I was like, I got a good thing going. And like, I'm not going to, I can't move to SoCal if we're talking about like $30,000
Yeah, SoCal
here, you know,
is
like,
an expensive place to live.
so he was like, all right, so that conversation kind of died on the vine a little bit, and I didn't really think anything was going to come of it. And meanwhile, of course, like I'm just like I don't know what the future is, but I'm thinking I'm like killing it. I have like
Yeah.
momentum or whatever. And then
And you did.
and I did. And
Yeah.
he hits me and asked me to go to Super Park and do the same thing, and do interviews and stuff. I met you at the launch.
Yeah, kids
But-
were stoked to have you at the launch too. That was awesome.
But we had a good time.
Yeah,
you and I.
we
were-
did have a
you
good
and
time.
I were
didn't we?
like really
we had a late,
hamming it
late
up.
night.
Yeah.
we got to know each other.
But
I had a couple of those. Those are fun.
yeah.
They're good nights.
So then, honestly, I don't know if this is part of it or what, but do you remember like the last night of Super Park? Like everybody kind of partied. Like
Yeah.
we all got like, you know, it was like the event was over. It was kind of a tough Super Park because it was like you're really up there in Crystal, and like it wasn't a super like bend where you could like go into town.
Yeah, we
you
were
know?
just
like,
stuck
We were
up
just
there.
up there.
Yeah.
So like I think when we finally could like have a couple and let like not go crazy, but like let us.
Eat mushrooms, hang
Yeah.
out. I mean,
So I'm like, I remember like getting into a conversation with Bridges, and I don't remember how it starts, but I just start talking shit about the Instagram. I just
Oh, you
start,
did?
Oh yeah,
That's his pride and joy.
I started being like, this is what you guys are missing. Like, and I wasn't doing it to be like an asshole. Like
Yeah.
I was saying it genuinely. I was like, this is what I think you guys are missing, and like and all that. So I leave, whatever, and then I go. I'm at QP camp out. Bridges and Clavin show up. I see him there.
how did Bridges take it? He was cool.
Dude, he was so cool
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, he was not pissed at all. Like, and I don't think I was saying anything crazy.
Yeah.
And he's so reasonable.
he
and
likes
he knows.
constructive. I mean, how else is he gonna evolve? You
And
know?
there's
It's good
obviously
to hear.
things at play, like, and this is something I've really learned upon taking that job. There's things at play that, like, just the everyday person doesn't really understand.
True.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and there's things that like go into play about, you know, like, well, this is why this has to happen.
Yeah,
And it's like,
Pat's looking from like
Yeah.
70,000 feet, while the rest of us are just down at 10,000 feet.
He's got this big view of
Yeah.
it all, and that a lot of people can't and don't see.
Yeah.
And so basically, I'm like, yeah, I'm talking shit, whatever. And then I'm like chilling in Portland. I think I was like, I'd been like partying pretty hard in Portland because I was coming to the end of like I had quit my job, and Sculpt Tour was over and Super Park was over. And I was
Yeah.
just like,
Blowing off steam.
in Portland, like no plan, like no idea what I was going to do. And basically at this point I had met some of the agents from some of the contest kids. There had been a question of like, oh shit, maybe I could actually like sell my show, like to get a drink sponsor. And I'm waiting for the train, and I just get a call from Bridges, and I pick it up, and he's like right off the bat, he's like, hey, you want to be the editor of Snowboarder Mag? And I just was like, you fucking with me? And he was like, no, I'm totally serious. And I basically said, I got to call you back.
He's
dude.
been vetting
Like,
you for months. So
yeah.
that's tight.
I mean, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because my first reaction was, I don't make magazines, you know, like I make fun of them on my show. In
Yeah.
fact, you know, like I make videos, and like I didn't know if it was right for me, and I didn't want to like stop doing what I thought was right. But then he was like, obviously, like take the weekend, think about it. I remember I actually ended up at Max Warbington's house. Shout out to the Warbington farm. They like housed me during this time. I was there for a week, like pacing
Hanging with the
around. Yeah. Like trying to just kind of like take it all in. And I realized that if I could talk to Bridges and have a conversation about like me being able to still make video content and still have some like big bigger control. I wanted to make sure it wasn't my job to just make the magazine, and that was it, because I didn't think that's exactly where my skill set was. And so I was like, well, you got to let me make videos too. And I think Bridges was like, yeah, I'll give you 2 jobs. Like, you know, like I basically was like, here's an idea.
Let me
I'll do 2 jobs for the price of 1.
That's
you know,
like sold.
Yeah, that's a deal Bridges is never going to turn down.
Well, and the magazine's so much more than just print anyways. And once you start
that's what I
thinking
realized.
that way, yeah.
That's what I realized when I took the job. I realized what a step up that job was.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to be head down grinding when you're doing something like Last Resort, and not Snowboarder Mag wasn't like the enemy, but it was like I needed to just be the best, and I wanted to be better than everyone because I had to feel that way. Like I think that there was times where I was like, I want to be the next Bridges. Like I think I said, like I probably said that, so like now stepping into that role like was, I don't know, crazy. I mean, and been really cool. And a lot of people actually like offered me like a level of respect that I actually was like a little bit surprised by.
Yeah, that job comes with some respect for sure.
Yeah.
Was there a pretty big difference in basically being like a freelance, say whatever the hell you want, nobody filtering anything you say, and then you get in and there's all kinds of sponsor dollars and you got to watch what you say and there's more responsibility?
I think that had I not, I think that it's tough to answer this question because I think that had I not, I treaded the waters the way that I saw the best fit. And I think that I could have easily put my foot in my mouth quickly had I wanted to. I didn't want to. I don't think it's that complicated. Like people make it seem like the big, like it's like, there is like a very corporate entity that's going on here. But I don't like in my experience.
That's not your job really though, right?
I don't have to deal with it.
You got to make a rad magazine.
Right. And so I think that it was the hardest part literally was that I started, my first day was July 1st and the first magazine has to go to print August 1st.
Oh, damn.
And I've never made a magazine in my life, you know? So like I step in and I'm just like, whoa. And like, it's a whirlwind to make that happen. And I think I was working like 12-hour days, like every day.
Just the
like,
learning curve.
Every day. And just always thinking about, Clavin's like making fun of me. Like how much time I'm like.
That's that Commonwealth, Massachusetts work ethic.
Yeah.
Right there is what
But
that
plus,
is.
you've also been like doing your own projects for so long and learning how to do them. So you're perfect to jump in there and just be like, all right, I'm going to make this happen.
That's actually been, I think, the biggest learning thing is me figuring out there's so much to understand when you step into a job like this. So many people to please or not please.
Yeah.
And so many strings where it's like all of a sudden it's not just whatever I want to do anymore. And that's great because what I did realize is you do have to kind of grow it. I think I could get back to that one day. Like I think I actually, now that I've done this, have like validated my worth in a lot of ways, and if I really wanted to, could jump back into making videos. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think basically the short answer is it was a trip and it wasn't at the same time. And there's certain instances where I would be really itching to make a video, and sometimes I do, and sometimes I just call my friends and talk shit to them.
And talk shit.
Yeah.
The videos are nice though. You got to keep them coming at us every night. Work out a schedule.
Well, I love making them too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like I love making them, and it
shows.
Yeah, it shows in the quality of the product.
Because if it was about money, if you were to break it down, I was thinking about this when you were talking earlier. You're like, I was getting paid $250 an edit from YoBeat. Like back then, like if you break that down, you're probably making like $3 an hour.
Oh,
for the amount of time it makes.
So
like
true.
even these things.
Even my job now. Yeah, exactly. I'm probably making about $3 an hour. Like,
that's the problem with the snowboard industry, I think, unfortunately.
Totally. But I wouldn't, I mean, you look around and what I think about is like when I got into the corporate structure for the first time in my life at age 30, what I realized was, well, I'll say this, there's a lot of people that have to go through all this bullshit. And then at the end of the day, they're talking about some fucking plastic piece in a car.
Yeah.
You know, like they have to go through all this like terrible monotonous stuff. At least I get to talk about snowboarding every day. You know, like and now it really does feel like kind of dream jobby. Like it's hard to not say because
well,
like,
half the year you're out doing shit too. And that
Totally,
guy working on that plastic part, they don't get that, you know?
Yeah. And like now during COVID, we're kind of on like the morning, we've got a daily running call.
Yep.
You've been on
I was on one of them.
You've been on one of them.
Good time.
How's Buds on those calls?
Buzz is good. I was so
I was the guy
hyped.
in that video you synced.
Yeah,
The guy who pulled out the Jergens
grabs his
and
Jergens and
Kleenex.
tissues.
I didn't think we were recording any longer, dude. I didn't know.
just rubbing one out in the middle of the video.
Couldn't even wait. We're only in 5. No, but those are so funny. Like us rapping out on the phone every morning is like we're always just getting into some funny shit.
Yeah.
It's hard to not like this COVID thing is honestly if one thing it's made me do, it's made me look up. Because for like you can spend so long with your head down trying to make shit work and trying to make shit pop. They're like, I almost like didn't even get to stop. And like, I've been all over Europe and I've been all over like on my own. Like so many people never get to do this.
Yes.
Like, and it's all just because I was, and it's nice to like pause for a second and be like, damn,
Yeah.
this is dope.
That's the sickest part of snowboarding is that travel and meeting people and enjoying the community around you, you know?
Totally. And then you have like through this common thing, you have a homie everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You just be like, oh, I'm in Germany and I have homies here.
And now
or wherever.
you're working at the center of the community at the magazine.
The
so that's
nucleus,
dope.
if you will.
Yeah, the nuclei.
And it's
Nuclei would be the plural of that.
and it's a lot. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing too about Transworld disappearing. And
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I tripped like when on this idea where I was like, damn, Transworld's gone. They cleared half the building and they just hired me to be the editor. Like, I think that like half of snowboarding had to be like, no, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like that must have just, like, it was such a crazy look from being like this like little, I don't like the resident like shit talker that people were like down with.
Dude, when Pat told me you were getting that job, I was like, dude, that's the perfect dude for the job.
Yeah, it makes sense because you need somebody that fucking cares.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that might be able to do it, but they're like, you're like sitting there like, like,
you have an opinion and you're doing good shit.
Yeah.
You care, you work hard. And
I think Bridges is such a sick mentor
Yeah.
to have because for the longest time, I always said, I don't know who to look up to in snowboarding really, because in a lot of ways, like no one was doing really what I was doing. There wasn't like, I wasn't a rider that was like, okay, well, this is how this person turned pro. And if they do this, this, and this, like there was no like rule book for how to become the editor of Snowboarder Mag, like, so
yeah,
like,
every dude's story was going to be different, right?
yeah, so it was just like, and now it's cool to get into a position because now I feel like my conversations with Bridges, he enlightens me to a lot, and I'm like, oh damn,
Yeah,
like,
you can teach,
I
teach
did
you
not
some shit.
think about that, you
Yeah.
know, like, so he's cool. And that's a great relationship.
And he cares about snowboarding, so it's good to have that atmosphere.
Oh, and he's seen so much and like
Yeah.
been at the center of so much.
yeah. And I think sometimes snowboarding gets a bad rap with a lot of the people in our circle these days. And then you get somebody on here like Benny talking about like this cover that like what it's done, like it has such a rich history and people are so quick to forget that at times.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with where I was kind of starting to get into about like the Transworld disappearing is all of a sudden we're at more or less it. You got the Snowboarder Journal that you can subscribe to, but like as far as like, I don't think anyone's really arguing here that the two main mags were Snowboarder and Transworld.
Yeah.
One of them disappears, like Snowboarder Mag kind of becomes the main voice. And that sucks because all of a sudden, well, you're like, it's lonely at the top.
You got a
kind of.
target. You got a target
was
on your
that
back.
underdog
You
forever.
Straight up, which was
straight
something
target on your back.
that I always felt at YoBeat and was something I always thought I would get away from.
Yeah.
If I stepped into this role. And that's one of the hard, like, it's actually, I don't know if it's hard as much as that is just kind of a sobering, like, yeah, like you're never going to be able to avoid having people hate your shit. Like,
that's how it is.
yeah.
Especially in today's culture.
It kind of reminds me of the Drake lyric, still on top like I'm scared of the drop.
Yeah. True.
I am scared of the drop. Let me tell you.
Too, dude.
I am scared of it. When Bird was on here talking about like
Oh, yeah. The
being
drop.
worried about like not being relevant in the industry anymore, like relatable, dude. And that 1 year between YoBeat and like me making Last Resort again, I felt the shit out of that. Cause like nobody gives a shit. Like once I stopped, like nobody was like calling me,
Holding their
being
breath.
like,
Yeah.
Stan,
it's
we
real
need
easy to
you,
become
you
like,
know,
to disappear, I guess. If you want to.
super
Yeah.
easy.
Well, you know what's cool is there's probably some kids out there listening that are entertainers or funny, and maybe they're like, fuck, they can carve their own
Path.
lane. Yeah, exactly. And then you look, there's like 8 million snowboarders doing video parts and contests, and you're pretty much
I've been waiting for
the
someone to step on my
the
shit.
only
I
person
really have.
doing it, like being entertainer, for lack of a better
But you
word.
guys are on it now. Like that.
we just chat. We just banter.
There's two guys in the garage.
Two guys in the garage bantering. We don't have an entertainment value.
We're just Bud Diesel over here.
Exactly.
Doing our own thing. No, you guys are it. Like, and that was like real. Like when I saw this, I was like, this is real. Like, and what you speak to, like to be real and to be dedicated. It's like you're watching it. This is what happens when you're real and dedicated. Like undeniable good shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
And everyone backs it. Like it's amazing how quickly people will back something when they know it's good. And I guess that goes to show that people are looking for something to latch onto in snowboarding, because you guys I had to work like pretty hard. But you guys did your work in a different arena for many years.
We put in some years.
Yeah, he put a dusty ass lens on and just clack a couple of photos, tomahawk down a couple of stair sets,
Tomahawk down
front
some
flip
stairs.
off a dam.
front flip off a dam.
And got roasted for it. Oh man.
Hit a quick fronty off the dam and we'll be good.
That was respect, and for the record, I would never do that. I would never fronty off it. And that's the thing. I should have been put in my place more. I'm going to say that right now. I think I should have been put in my place more.
Yeah, but
After you put out a video, is there a lot of kids that try to put you in their place or say some clap back, or are they just all like, yeah, that's
I'm usually
funny?
ready for it, if so.
Yeah.
And
You
I'm
gotta
also,
be, right?
I'm like such an anxious person. Like by the time I've put out an episode, if I don't hate it, it's a bad sign.
Yeah, and that's actually
'Cause I've been
same with making videos and everything. It's like you start to hate it.
So when these people say shit, I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, I hate that
suck.
joke too.
Yeah.
but that's then that loses its power.
Exactly.
It
I'm
loses
like,
its
you know
power.
what? You're right.
Yeah, you're right. You're like, fuck, I was really hoping to get into it.
Yeah.
I was really going to be like a keyboard cowboy today.
But that's
and
actually
start-
funny is like sometimes like people, again, like I remember the one that continues to come up with me is the stands where I go off on corrugateds. You remember
with
this?
Marcus
Marcus
Rand.
Rand.
Yeah, Marcus Rand. Yeah,
And like
shots
that,
fired.
Yeah, and like that was like a shots fired moment, and I just was like, what I said was, if you're gonna put a corrugated in your part, you better make sure it's fucking good. You know, like make sure it's good, because it's a corrugated piece of plastic, and we all know how easy it is to grind that thing. Like, and that's all I was saying. And now it's like I'm still getting tagged in comments like, "What do you think, my son Stan?" And it's like it's just some dude doing like a 720 off a corrugated, and I'm like, whack. It's whack.
Too much.
Yeah, way too much.
We know Stan's stance on the Cora G.
That's dope.
Good shit. What do you? This is kind of a loaded, deeper question, but like being where you're at right now, how do you feel about the current state of just snowboarding and where everything is? And kind of, I don't know if that's too broad.
I think I'm so in my head about it that I can answer this a couple different ways. I think that the current state of snowboarding lives on Instagram. I think that like the way
Unfortunate truth.
Yeah, I think that the way that people interact with snowboarding for free is on Instagram. And that makes sense because you have this platform that offers you entertainment through like all sorts of means, and it's free. And so like what's going to make people hype to snowboard? Someone doing some crazy shit on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what's literally, and I don't like that, but I think that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm a nerd for the old ways and for the ways that I was grown up like needing, but it's undeniable that like social media has its like hands gripped or everything. It's not just snowboarding, like everything. This is something that like every sport is dealing with.
Life,
I'm sure.
almost.
Yeah, life.
Like
is,
even
yeah.
Amazon is almost a similar comparison.
Yeah, so we're not like escaping that. And I think I wonder if basically it feels more divided a little bit, like between the rail kids and the contest kids. Like I don't know that there was always this big of a divide between the two entities, where it's like it felt like back in the day, like in the 90s, like, you know, Todd Richards just showing up wherever. It's like it's
whatever
everyone's
was going on.
Yeah, it's all the same shit. Like he's doing the US Open, but he's also filming shit and like whatever. And I just think in some ways both sides, rail and contest, have like niched themselves out pretty hard.
Yeah.
But I
That's a
think
true story.
Yeah, but I think that, and that's what's interesting when you get like an X Games real snow, which is like it's like the combination. It's a contest for the best video part. It's like, you know, it's like a breeding of the two. And as much as I want to hate on it, it's like, how can I? Because so many people are like interacting with it in that way.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think, I mean, I don't fucking know. I've said this a million times. The biggest problem facing snowboarding is straight up global warming. You know,
True,
like
dude.
not a lack of dedicated culture. It's just it's going to be in 100 years. Can we still?
It's actually very true, man. You can notice the difference on what
Even
cities,
Mount Hood. Even,
yeah,
and
I mean,
even-
when we're looking to go on jib trips,
When
there's
Stone
less
started,
cities.
there was snow everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an
Chris
ice
has even
age.
seen it. We used to be able to
It
go.
was actually before the Big Bang. I think.
Yeah.
but you go out. We used to be able to go to Eastern Bloc. Now
Yeah.
you can't even go there anymore. Like maybe they'll get snow for 2 days. Or
We'd go to
something.
Lithuania. His board bag wouldn't show up. He'd be wearing trash bags over his
Ah,
shoes.
that happened. That did happen.
That your guys' trip looked so exciting. Whenever you two were traveling, I live for the content that's
Dude,
coming
I
out of that.
look forward to that trip every year as
Yeah,
well.
you know what
dude.
I also notice is like people like they're like nobody's like, dude, sick video part. They're like, dude, I love when you're hanging out with Stony Buds filming. I'm like, it's
Filming
like, what
and
am I even
posting.
doing? Why don't I just film Stony Buds all the time? Like,
No, seriously though, this is actually a conversation I just got into with the Dust Box where I was like, my honest advice is put in a lot of B-roll.
Yeah.
A lot. Make
Yeah.
make yourselves show how funny you are.
Because those guys,
you guys
are,
are funny and you're
yeah,
characters.
especially when they're all together.
And I'm sorry, like street snowboarding has gone so niche and so bubbled that like only your friends really understand how sick
yeah,
that is.
like
Yeah.
14 people.
So if you're not at least a person with that, how can you expect to like
to understand it and grasp it
blow
the way
up
they do,
or like
yeah.
get those checks or
Yeah.
whatever? It's like if you're relatable, you're gonna get those checks.
That's
and
good
you can
advice for
do
those
that
kids.
through street, but just B-roll the shit out of me. Kill
Yeah.
me with B-roll. I want it.
Funny
you
And
know?
now there's platforms
Yeah, funny
for
shit.
it.
I want to.
Yeah.
You're the king of it. You have so much funny shit.
The thing is, this is what I will break down, and this is my personal philosophy. Some may think it's stupid, some may not. But at the end of the day, you put a video part on. It's about entertainment value. It's about
Yes.
entertaining the viewer. Now, entertaining the viewer, we as a rider, a lot of people think, oh, I need the switchback nose press, and I need this specific trick. But it's like, it's fucking boring. The spot's boring. Your tricks look boring. You don't see your face. You're far away in the frame. Like, it's just boring. Like, but it's like, let's like do the switchback nose press, and then let's run something over at the golf cart. Let's keep them zoomed in.
Right
And
on,
it's like,
dude.
but some, everybody has a different take. Some people might be like, it's gimmicky. That's it. But at the end of the day, like,
Right.
fuck, it's everybody's got their own opinion.
And that's
on
an
that.
identity crisis in snowboarding as well. That a lot of riders are like mad at other riders who feel like they have a gimmick. And
Yeah.
they're like, that's whack because they have a gimmick.
You know
And
what
I'm
though?
like,
Fuck them.
well, I'm like, they're laughing all the way to the bank with
Yeah,
that gimmick.
exactly.
You know?
They're they're missing the showman side,
Part of that
showmanship
gimmick
side that
is that
Lizard
check
King
in
just
their pocket.
explained to us,
Yeah.
and he's got that extra something special like Chris has had with his career. And
Totally.
if you don't have that, you're not going to make the top tier,
And,
ever.
well, but nowadays it's like you're hitting a moving target because it's always moving. For us, it was the video part, but then like now it's just this Instagram. It all over life. It's instant. Like on Amazon, I hit one button, boom, box at my house the next day.
Yeah.
It's like Instagram. You don't want the video part anymore. That's 2 minutes long, which is just tricks. You just want the one trick, and you don't want any build up. You want it to hit your phone immediately. You want that
know.
spike, and it's like
And I'm part of the problem
Yeah.
because now I'm at Snowboarder Mag and I'm like, oh God, like I see a post. It's like comedy when you know you're in the situation and you have to take note.
Yeah.
It's like I see a post and I'm like, oh, this will go viral. And it, like,
it
despite
does.
how I feel about it, I'm like, we have to post this
Yeah,
because
this one's
it's
gonna
gonna go. And our income and our life depends on the fact that that keeps going.
Yeah.
You know, like, so.
and
That's
that
a
you
fact.
put a clip on Instagram and it gets like 80,000 views. It goes viral or some shit. Then you work all year for a video part, kill yourself, fly all over the world, spend tons of money, and it gets like 1,000 views.
Yeah.
And you're like, which is more valuable?
That was the irony of me making these videos and
Yeah.
getting nominated because I was like, dude, guess how much budget I have to make this show?
Zero.
Zero. You know, and everyone else is that's getting nominated. It's like several $1,000 like budgets to make these projects. And of course, and what I always say, my project couldn't exist without those projects.
Susie
'Cause
Greenberg's a good example.
Oh, my
budget,
God.
that was awesome.
One of the best movies ever made.
But funny thing
I
you say that
I think.
Stevens had a mentality. Remember when he was talking about making this video, and he was saying, for me, he wanted the dumb shit or all that, but he was saying, we want to put every clip in this video. Think about it as if it's like a viral clip on Instagram. Like
Yeah.
when
That
you're
was his
when you're
thought.
thinking about your video part,
Sick.
ask yourself, would this clip go hard on Insta?
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
it was actually like kind
That's
of
really
a
smart.
smart mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's some smart sleep.
but some people are like, yeah, but I did a front seven mute. This is myself probably. But I really want to land. Like people need to see it. It's like they don't need to see the front seven mute. Nobody fucking cares.
It's so true. Like, you got to get out of your head and don't get caught up on that shit.
Yeah.
You got to
Just because you landed something doesn't mean the world needs to fucking see it.
And there's no formula, like there's no like concrete way. And that's why it's part of the beauty of it too, I guess. Like that it's elusive, that you don't know exactly what it is that's going to make something hit.
It's like you said, a moving target. So it's always changing.
It's always
changing. Evolving.
Right now, buildings are hot. You notice that? Flipping off of buildings, very hot right now.
Also, then it depends. Like, it's so compartmentalized. Like, some people, it's about the trick, like just the pure difficulty of the trick. Some people, it's about the outfit and like the gear and like the haircut and fucking the zoom in on the face. Then you have some people, it's about the big spot. Some people, it's about the night spot. Some people, it's about the contest. Some people, it's about the backcountry jump. It's all like,
and that's good though, because I think if it was all one thing all the time, it would be boring.
Get boring.
Very true.
Yeah.
So it's good that like people explore that. But
unfortunately, each person in each one of these compartments, player hates on all the other people.
yes, that is the problem.
But it's like,
Player
if they were doing the
hates.
same thing you were doing, you'd be fucking bummed.
But that's what you have to remember, and that's what I always think to myself.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, these people are just gonna play or hate no matter what. Like,
It's going to happen no
that's
matter
what I
what.
said
So
to
fuck
Dust.
it.
Again, back to the dust box. I just hung out with the dust box for a couple.
Well, and they're a
days.
great example, though. They're the up and coming crew. They're dope.
But I was talking to them about energy drink money, and I was like, they were like, I don't know if they were really saying it was whack or whatever, but they were kind of saying like they didn't know if it was snowboarding or if it was in snowboard, like it was true snowboarding.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, maybe not, but like, thank God 15 years ago, someone in a Red Bull office was like, let's promote action sports.
For real, dude.
You know? Because like, they'd still be selling a shit ton of those things without it.
Oh, absolutely.
And
For sure.
thank God because it's like, you could almost argue that snowboarding wouldn't be snowboarding as we know it if they weren't injecting that money.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
like,
in a way it is.
it's needed
it is
for our
snowboarding,
culture,
you know? Like,
really.
100%. I rode for Monster for 9-10 years, something like that. That paid for most of this house, or paid for a lot. And it's like, I in no way sold a remote increment like associated to the amount that was paid of energy drinks.
Well, yeah.
And also, it's like, it's easy to say no, like, fuck energy drinks until someone slides that contract across the table, and you're looking at those biscuits, dude.
the money.
'Cause
And
it's
you guys are putting your body through some crazy shit. And it's
Yeah.
like, what's the payout?
Head injuries.
You know, and what's the end goal? And I get it because
it's
like,
good to look at both sides.
It's sugar water and it's
Yes,
bad
it's not
for
healthy.
you.
It's not
and that's 100% true.
But they're giving
like,
you those cans with water in them anyway. So
Yeah,
is that a secret?
But it's also like, okay, you want to nitpick? Like, is the way the plastic on the bindings made
Exactly.
good?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
true.
like, it never ends. So it's like
you could
You could
split
nitpick
hairs
everything.
and
Some
boards
dude-
factories or
some guy with a
polluting.
lifted truck is going to walk into that gas station and buy a Monster regardless of
Yes,
you
exactly.
turning down that
True.
check.
Yeah.
So you might as
Temecula
well
909.
take
Yeah,
that
take
check.
the check while you can. And just,
I've taken them and I would have had to walk away by now
Yeah.
if like energy drinks weren't like, Stan,
You know,
we like you.
he's got some fat white sunglasses,
Yeah.
like a flex fit hat, and just a
And he's-
fatty lifted.
yeah, just getting that
F350.
big ass drink.
Yeah.
Stoked.
Tap out.
chugging some. But there's, you know, the flip side of the coin is there's some people out there that are fucking rolling over hearing this about like how it's poisonous and this and that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you know, there are people like, for example,
You know
like,
what?
I know-
Everything in moderation, right?
It's true. I don't know anything about that, but Lewif and like I think Austin Smith. I think there's like a handful of people I can think of that have legitimately turned down energy drinks.
Yeah.
And I think if you've turned it down and been like, that's not for me, respect.
Yeah,
Respect.
much respect.
Respect. But like,
But they're probably making some really good money elsewhere.
yeah, that's
Hey,
what
Or
I'm
else they might have made
true.
a different
Yeah,
decision.
probably true.
Yeah.
And I think that it more so shouldn't be like a universal, like energy drinks are good. It's just, hey, consider everything here.
Yeah.
And don't let like someone who is able to be like a little bit maybe more privileged and get away with having a career without this, like affect someone
Yeah.
who just
Yeah.
can't. Like they're like, I didn't come from money. Like I don't have any money. My parents are like did well, but like or like complete middle class. My mom was
Yeah.
a teacher. My dad worked for Millen Bradley. And like I don't know. It's
Props
just,
to Hungry Hippos.
shout
Props
out
to the hungry hippos. The dust box is basically an analogy for those hungry hippos in the scene right now, coming for everybody.
But you also look at like Red Bull Recharge and Supernatural or what is it called? What's he got going? Supernatural.
oh yeah, the
Natural
Travis T.
selection.
Ricky
Natural
shit.
selection. I mean, those are good projects, man. So whatever.
Yeah, and like those things
Fuck
are
it.
only made possible by that.
By a lot of a big cash
Yeah.
infusion.
But I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that's just not poison.
I'll tell you what I'm
Yeah.
going to say. I'm going to contradict everything I just said, though, with one thing that I do remember. I remember there's like neighborhood kids that live in this neighborhood, and this one kid, Jake, like, because I had a big Monster fridge in my garage for a long time, and he came over and he's like, oh, can I have a Monster? And I remember he's like, dude, Monster's cool. And I was just like, dude, don't drink that shit. I'm like, just because I'm wearing it on my hat doesn't mean you should drink it.
Slap it out of
I'm
his
like,
hand.
dude, you gotta realize that like the Monster thing is like, you just gotta be like, that guy's getting paid. Respect. I'm not gonna drink it. Like you can't get mad.
Don't
at somebody.
go drink one of these a day.
Yeah. I was
You're
like,
gonna
wait,
get
wait, don't
diabetes.
fucking
You're gonna
drink this
fuck
shit.
yourself.
Yeah, I made it really clear to him. I was like, look, I am just wearing this hat because they're giving me money.
Yeah.
Ain't no way don't think you should drink this.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to capitalism. You know, like it's just part of it. So, like, are we gonna get nitpicky about who the money's coming from? It's all crazy. So,
The sport needs all it can get.
literally,
Everything's going to turn into something good if it's infused to the sport. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Did you slap it out of the kid's hand or what?
Yeah. Yeah,
I clawed it out with 3 fingers
Don't
to
drink
stay
that.
on brand.
That's why the claw.
I picked it up, spiked it in front of him.
Yeah.
Isn't there a
And
conspiracy theory that Monster,
yeah.
the claw is
I do,
Satan
yeah.
or some
Have you
shit?
seen
That's
that
a-
video?
That's a real thing. That video is sick.
I love that video. It's great. That lady is like killing it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
she's
pretty
out
dope.
here. I'm like, yeah, true. You know?
It's all
Yikes,
true.
the old conspiracy theory YouTube wormhole. I can't say I haven't been down that a couple times myself.
Yeah.
You gotta dip your toes in. You gotta know. You gotta know where the conversation's like, where it's at, and you gotta decide for yourself. You know,
True.
I certainly don't claim to know everything.
I
But-
agree. You
but-
got to decide
but-
for yourself. Any good conspiracy theory video
Theory?
theory video tells you do your own research, figure it out, decide for yourself.
Because those people are like what we did, which was watch 10 other YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
that's the research.
made by we don't know who even made
We don't know
this.
who made this, but there's definitely a Nazi moon base.
There is definitely a lot of subtle 666s
Yeah.
all over the place in the background.
Yes. Jesus.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
well, I think we did it. I think we had a good one.
I
You
think
got,
we did
you
it
got
too.
any other people you want to shout out to or anything you want to say? Any other topics?
Oh, I don't know. I think like if I would just say if I forgot to talk about you, because there's a lot of important people in my life and a lot of people that helped me
Can't
get
remember.
to this point. Thank you. Everyone I've really met is awesome in helping me get here, whether or not they were talking shit on me. So I realized I had Rich Voss making me realize I had to keep my shit together or like whatever. Shout out Brooke. I feel like I got to give a quick shout out to Brooke because I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, true.
Literally without Brooke being like, well, let this kid do whatever he wants, and whether or not that relationship's soured or not, I'll always be appreciative of that. And I guess like just keep, if you're a kid that's like hyped up, just like, I think actually this is the advice. It's similar to like snowboarding as it is to like making anything. If you think you can go back and do it better, do it again. And that's kind of just like how I feel. It's how I feel about jokes. It's how I feel about making videos. It's if you're in your head like, I feel like I could do this better, you're probably right.
You're probably right. Yeah.
So do it.
Yeah, do it again.
But thank you guys because you guys are killing it with this, and
Thank you.
I hope that was entertaining for the people. I don't know. I get nervous about like,
Dude, I'm sure people are
Being
very
entertained.
People are
interested
going to
in
love
Stan.
it. People are going to love it.
yeah.
Well, we appreciate having you on, and it's been a pleasure. And guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.